You are watching Co-op for Two, broadcasting live from Champaign, Illinois, January 24th, 2024, Wednesday evening, 11 p.m., and we are playing another Cryptic Killers game. You can see already I did not adjust the lens, the new lens properly, and it's got a little bit of a top shelf of the shelf showing. That's not right. Maybe I can fix that during the break. Okay, so let's talk about Cryptic Killers for a minute before we start here. We have played, I believe, every other Cryptic Killers game except for this one. I've got a big stack of them. In general, I tend to think of this as a very high-quality series with very few misses. There was one Cryptic Killers game that I played off the channel and did not love. That was Murder of a Millionaire. The games are ranked in difficulty. They all go from 3 to 4.5. That's the top of their ratings. And I have found that the 4.5 ratings have been my favorites. This one is 3.5, so perhaps a little easier than we like them. But always credited to Ben Culpus, the author. I am curious to see what this will be like. It's a little bittersweet because it's going to be sad to have no more Cryptic Killers games to play. Jonathan says, do I see some games brought back from Japan in the background? You do. You see one over my left shoulder here. We had someone in the Discord recommend 2 games from Japan, 2 mystery games. I asked my wife to buy both of those while she was in Japan. So I'm going to have to play those with her at some point. Whether we play them on the channel, I'm not sure. And then there are a couple other games behind me. Someone was nice enough to contact me about this circus game, which looks beautiful, which is behind me. And we still got the Medusa Report and Vandermist Dossier, which are highly rated. We still have a lot of games to play. Suspects, the new Suspects box. We better start speeding up our playthroughs. In front of me, I have a little recommendation here. This is the tea I drink when I want a decaf tea, coconut cocoa. Some people won't like it. It's got a strange taste, but I do recommend you give it a try. Anything else to catch up on before we get started? On this past Sunday, I did my 3rd developer diary, design diary for High and Low, the narrative mystery detective game that I've been working on. The deadline for submitting it to the local game design contest is fast approaching, February 11th. The rush is now to get some demo cases ready for it. We played one of them on the channel, written by one of the viewers, and now there are a couple other people writing cases. And I've written a new intro for a case. Martinez Conradi has written the bulk of a case. Writing the intro is the fun part, but wrapping your head around how to write a full case is a totally different matter, and I'm finding it difficult. This Sunday at 3 p.m., we will return to our playthroughs of Dear Holmes, and we will begin a new case at 3 p.m. this Sunday. I don't remember the name of it, but we've got most of the letters for it. So if you like the play-by-mail games, you can join us on Sunday for that. And maybe we'll play something again Saturday before that. I'm not sure what. Maybe a Deadbolt Mystery Society game, or maybe we'll break out the Suspects box. I'm not sure. All right, if that's it, we can get started here. Anything else the chat wants to talk about? Anything anyone is up to? Any interesting projects? YouTube says 11 concurrent viewers, 4 likes. Seems like we've got a small audience today, 11 viewers. All right, well, let's get started then. Let's see if there's one of these. All right, shall we read the back here? Let's see if we can get a little introduction. Ages 14 and up. Disgraced magician and ex-convict Charlie Young was found dead in a dumpster behind the Magic Mirror Casino in Las Vegas with multiple gunshot wounds to his torso. Young had upset many people in his time, and most recently he had been on the run from the law after cheating in a game of high-stakes poker. Now his time is up, but there's a killer at large. The evidence has been collected for you. It's your job to read through the documentation and determine who murdered Charlie Young. There are 27 documents in this folder. In addition to the evidence found here, you will also be required to access the internet to uncover further information about this case. Your mission is simple. Eliminate as many suspects as possible so that we can find the shooter and bring them to justice. Okay. All the Cryptic Killers seem to follow a pretty straightforward pattern. Jonathan says, I sort of missed what you said at the very beginning. Is it just we've played all the cases currently produced, or did the designers said they were retiring the series? Sorry. Cryptic Killers seems to be going strong. In fact, they released new games that without any fanfare. We've played all the ones that exist so far. I hope they will keep making them. Didn't mean to suggest that there won't be any more of them. We've played all that exists so far. Hopefully there'll be more for us to play. All right. So here's the background we already read. Your aim is to find the killer or killers. Finding the killers won't be easy. You'll have to familiarize yourself with all the evidence. These are just the generic instructions. Very important, missing evidence. A checklist has been provided. Okay, so if something's missing, you can go online. We normally don't worry about that unless something goes wrong. We've not had it happen yet. There is a website for hints. There's a website to solve the case when you think you know the solution. Other stuff. Okay, so let's take out our stack of evidence. And I guess we'll go through it in order here. Stage magician convicted. By Amelia Garfield. The stage magician Charlie Young, 35, has been sentenced to 20 years for the manslaughter of his assistant Jacqueline Jackie Greer. Greer had been a passenger in Young's car when he drove into a streetlight at 85 miles per hour near the suburb town Valley Park. Also in the vehicle was popular singer Bobby LaFay, Young's friend and co-organizer of the Read It and Don't Weep charity fundraiser, who's been sentenced to 12 years for being an accessory to Greer's manslaughter. Leaving court yesterday, Young's manager read a statement on his behalf saying Charlie had much affection for Mrs. Greer. He once again expresses his sorrow for her death and sends his apologies to her family. He hopes his incarceration can aid the healing process. We can see there's actually a date on this newspaper, 1994. Meanwhile, Bobby LaFay has denied being an accessory to Greer's death, saying, I don't deserve this sentence. Charlie set me up to take some of the heat off him and get time off his sentence. He claims I was goofing around and distracting him. His claims were exaggerated beyond belief. I was sitting still the entire time. He deserves all the blame, 100% of it. LaFay also expressed anger over Young's claim that LaFay had provided the drugs that Young had taken on the night which fueled his reckless driving. Bobby believes that Young also used this as a ploy to get a more lenient sentence at his expense. He said, maybe it's technically true the drugs Charlie and I took that night were mine, but he buys plenty of the stuff himself. He just happened to have run out that night. The opportunistic bastard used me as the fall guy to get less time. Juno Greer, Jackie's mother, said, while we are glad to see justice prevail, we believe the sentences are far too lenient considering all they have done and all we will have to go through, so we plan to appeal this ruling. Well, good luck. You don't really appeal a criminal case. Also, 20 years, that's pretty serious time for driving a car intoxicated and killing a passenger. But that's a philosophical question we can talk about. By the way, I just rewatched for maybe the 4th or 5th time Jackie Brown, the Quentin Tarantino movie, which I highly recommend. Okay, so here's the evidence checklist that you could check to see if your package was missing anything. We're not going to worry about that unless we get stuck. We've never gotten burned by it yet, but maybe one day we will. Okay, here's a memorandum. So that newspaper was from 94 or so. So here is, I guess he served his full 20, it sounds like, maybe. Well, this is 20 years later, at least. To Detective P.L. Ayers, I'm assigning you to the murder case of Charlie Young, found dead in a dumpster behind the Magic Mirror Casino on the night of Tuesday, March 31st. Young had been on the run from the law after he was discovered cheating at card games at the Magic Mirror a week prior. Detective Robert Hadley had originally been assigned this case. However, he called in sick today with a case of food poisoning after eating at a restaurant called Reggie's. He had collected all the necessary evidence this week, and as time is of the essence, we're assigning you to pick up the case where Hadley left off. You may need to access Hadley's emails during your investigation. Head over to whatever and input your name and password, details found below, to access his webmail. We've been in communication with Hadley, and he left the following message. To access my email, my username is Robert Hadley at lvpfwebmail.com, and my password, all lowercase, is my favorite animal, the ones Ricky Tremolo used to keep, singular. My favorite food, a bad batch of which is what got me sick, and the record time I tried to break last week. Thanks for stepping in like this, I owe you one. We have a list of suspects, and we've started to gather evidence for each of the following: Sykes, Pons, Mitchum, Greer, Handarag, Nash, and LaFay. Everyone apart from the guilty party must have an alibi, and it is your job to find them. Some of the suspects in this case have been under investigation by the Department of Domestic Investigation, and the DDI have been kind enough to share some files that may add the investigation. Good luck. Chief Ferguson. Okay, so 2 things to note. Sometimes the Cryptic Killer games don't follow this strict a formula, but occasionally they do seem to follow this strict formula where here are the suspects, you rule out all but one, and then you've got your culprit. So that may be the case. They also all seem to have this thing where there's a web account of email related to the game on their special site, and you have to identify the password before you can get to it. They all seem to do this. It's a little bit, what would you call it? It's a little bit silly that they can't come up with something different than this. It feels a little bit fakey. But one of the things we've noticed is that when you log in, you tend to get given information that you could have figured out on your own. It's sort of like a hint system almost. So we always save this for last. Not a strict hint system, but it does feel like if you went here early, if you search through the documents to figure out how to log in, you would get information before you had a chance to discover yourself. So we always save this for last. All right, let's start going through our evidence here. Here's a ballistic report. April 1st, 2015. What's our... So he was on the run for a week after he was found cheating at cards and found dead March 31st. Okay, so let's get our timeline here since we're going to have to keep a timeline to rule out people. March 31st, found dead, 2015. Okay, let's see, what is the chat? Jonathan says, Jesse, do you want to take an early break? Yes, sure. Let's take a break. Now that you've seen the introduction, remember you can only play these games once, and they're not very expensive. You could get this on Amazon for 20 bucks or so. So if you think this might appeal to you, you can stop watching now, purchase it yourself, come back, watch it, see how we did, discuss your thoughts afterwards. If you do stick around and play this game with me live, we will be talking about it afterwards, our thoughts. So you might want to keep a pencil and paper nearby to write down any thoughts you have, game design thoughts, favorite parts, least favorite parts, etc. We'll take an early break here to let people leave and or get some coffee or tea. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Okay, we're back. Let's get right into it. We've got a ballistics report. April 1st, so day after the murder. Brett Quigley, Department of Firearms and Ballistics. We've analyzed the bullets found within the corpse of Charlie Young. Judging by the high deformation and mushrooming of the bullets and the severity of the entry wounds, it's clear that the gun was fired at close range. I would estimate that the gun was 6 feet away from the victim when the shots were fired. Microscopic inspection of the bullets show rifling marks consistent with having been fired from a typical 3.5-inch barrel. This, coupled with the fact the bullets appear to be .32 ACPs, means we can safely assume that the murder weapon was a semi-automatic pistol. We also found traces of rubber residue on all of the bullets. Considering there was no rubber in the victim's clothes, I'd say the most likely explanation for this would be the wipes of a silencer. This hypothesis is further supported by the fact that there was a lack of gunshot residue on the victim. Silencers hold in the hot gas that pushes the bullets down the barrel, so at a range as close as the factors I mentioned in my first paragraph would suggest, one would definitely expect to see stipplings from gunpowder particles around the wounds. From these two factors, I think it's safe to conclude the killer used such a device. All right. Shot multiple times in the torso at a 6-foot range. No gunpowder residue or stippling means probably a silencer. Hypothesis is that a silencer that's got rubber on the front to keep in the gas got some off on the bullets. But it's also possible that there's some other explanation, but that seems reasonable. All right. Now we have a report by Ray Wood. This is a month after our murder because, no, sorry, day after again. April 1st. Sorry, day after murder. The body of a Caucasian male in his 50s was found by Billy Zipes, a member of the kitchen staff in the Magic Mirror restaurant, on Tuesday, March 31st, 2015. Mr. Zipes was taking a cigarette break from 10:55 p.m. to 11 p.m. When he went to throw his empty cigarette packet away at the end of his break, he discovered the body in the dumpster. Upon discovery, Zipes immediately ran back inside, alerted the kitchen manager, Frank Burns, who dialed 911, and also sought the casino's in-house doctor, Dr. Greta Arnold, to see if she could do anything. Unfortunately, the man had already died by the time Dr. Arnold examined the body. I arrived at the scene at this point. Soon afterward, the ambulance arrived and paramedics took the body away. Okay, so body found 10:55 to 11 p.m. So murdered sometime before then, but we don't know how soon before then. But latest he was shot 10:55. I guess latest he was shot 11 p.m. Okay. Oh, wait a second. I just flipped this over and I saw there was something on the back. Always check the back of papers. Other information. The following items were found in the pockets of the victim. Okay, what have we got here? Cell phone, keys, wallet, unusually sized wallet, playing cards. It looks like gum, a half unwrapped piece of gum, and is this a piece of chewed gum? Oh, look. This was found in the right breast pocket of the victim's jacket. It is yet to be formally identified, but it would appear to have a battery, transmitter, and a microphone. We believe it is a listening device. The device is not working due to the bullet damage. Well, perhaps this is something to help you cheat at poker. You know that the people who cheat at cards sometimes have an accomplice and they send information back and forth. There's some famous ones where they wear it in their shoe or on their thigh. Let's take a closer look here. What does that say? Looks like an address, 7014 Val something Boulevard, maybe? 7014 something Boulevard, it looks like to me. And what have we got here? What is this book? A True Story, Gooseberries and Ganderberries. Life after the death of a loved one, JHG. Sin City Bookshop, book signing event, 10 to 11 p.m. So on the night of the murder, he's got a flyer for a book signing event. What does this say down at the bottom? Kind of hard to read that last part, JHG, though. Do we have any... If we look at our suspects, we have a Greer. Who was the woman who was killed that sent him to jail originally. We have her full name? Jackie Greer. Is that JHG? Jackie Greer? Is she the author of this book or a daughter? Interesting. Okay. Anything you notice about those cards? Different back on this one than the ones underneath them. And what is this thing? Just a wallet? That symbol you see on it is a watermark on the paper, not on the wallet. So it just looks like a normal wallet to me. And this is some sort of device used for cheating at cards, it seems. Okay. And maybe we'll keep this nearby our list of suspects. All right. This is one of our suspects. Haderag, Francis Frankie Haydorag. Codename Gray Dog. It's believed Frankie Haydorag has been working for his father, Tony Haydorag's criminal empire in some capacity since childhood, although only devoting his full attention to it after dropping out of high school. Since then, he's earned the role of second in command of the family business, and therefore, in the event of his father's death, he's the only one that will assume the position as head of the syndicate. For further information, see Tony Haydorag's file. However, despite being one of the highest-ranking members of the Haydorag syndicate, he lacks any say in the operation of the group. With his father still in command, Frankie has next to no control over the actions of the Haydorag mob, since Tony is the only one with decision-making power and the one in charge of making significant deals. As such, Frankie is very much subordinate to his father and does as commanded. At the current time, Frankie's role in the family is the gang enforcer in charge of punishing insubordination as well as getting people to carry out jobs for the gang via blackmail, coercion, and threats of violent reprisal. Frankie is adept at both roles and has no qualms doing what he does. All signs point to a successor in waiting, well-suited and well-prepared to assume full power as the next Haydorag Don when the time comes. And here we have a photo of him, 6'2". We don't know why he's a suspect in this crime, but he is. Or at least the syndicate is. All right, now we've got more suspects here. Nicky Pons, codenamed Gin, and Todd Pons, codenamed Tonic, 5'7" and 5'6". The early life of the Pons twins is, for the most part, a mystery. We know from birth records they were born in Buffalo, New York, but their life is a blank until they first came to power as the protégés of crime boss Ed Grand during the late 00s. After Grand died in a boating accident on Lake Mead in 2013, the pair quickly took control of the syndicate, displaying themselves as a formidable duo despite their relative youth. It has been suspected that they gained and kept control of their gang by making influential friends in high places, becoming unofficial fixers who, off the books, solve problems for the city's richest people. This has given their gang considerable power in the underworld, despite it being one of the smallest mobs in the country. The pair are the personification of the term partners in crime, as they run their criminal empire jointly as equals. No decision is made unless both twins agree to it, and the pair attend every meeting together. When it comes to running their criminal empire, one won't do something unless the other is with them. As such, the two are never seen apart. Their base of operations is suspected to be an apartment at 7014 Valley Boulevard. Although after checking the records, we shall have to investigate further because the legal ownership of the apartment is a shell corporation registered in the Cayman Islands. Filed on 2/15/2014. Okay, so you no doubt picked up what I did, which is that the address matches this address. We said that was 704 something Boulevard, VAL Boulevard, and here we have their address, 7014 Valley Boulevard. So I guess this is our victim's possessions. For some reason, the victim had their address on a card, written on a card. I didn't care too much about it. Also got a pretty high security key here, I just noticed. What an old phone. Okay. Maybe on our to-do list or our list of things to keep track of, I'm just going to put JHG. And I'm going to put 7014 Valley Boulevard. These are things to follow up on. Maybe just for the hell of it, I'll put the webmail. It's always important to keep track of things that you don't want to forget. Okay. You do everything together, huh? I suppose we don't know why these people are being suspected, but what you could say is that they've already identified that he was killed with, if they've identified he was killed with a silencer, then they're thinking this is a professional hit. And if it's a professional hit, maybe they're looking at the mob syndicates here. All right, we got a witness here. Katie Marsh. Was the witness visually recorded? No, so they didn't record a videotape of this. Someone working at the Magic Mirror day after. I was the usher on duty in the Magic Mirror Looking Glass Auditorium that evening. It mostly involves checking tickets and ensuring that people do not sneak in and out during the performance. Well, paying customers, I mean. The employees at the Magic Mirror like to look after each other and on their nights off. We offer our staff in and out of the performances before they head off for Zebras. It's been like for years, almost like a ritual now. We start here and end up at Zebras. It's all good fun. So he's saying they go to this place. We look after each other, and on their nights off, we often let staff in and out. Okay, so he's saying they don't let the customers, the normal people, in and out, but you could sneak in and out if you work at the Magic Mirror, and then you end up at Zebras. That evening, I let 3 colleagues and a good friend who was a croupier. That's someone who works at the dice table, the roulette table. It's someone who works the table. Croupier here up until he was fired last week. He left an hour into Larry Crumb's stand-up routine, which started at 7:30 p.m. The other 3 left at the end of the performance. Anyway, the show finished at 11 p.m. and the people left the auditorium. Nobody else snuck in or out during that time. Okay, so during the show, which ends at 11, which means the people who were in here probably couldn't have killed our guy, but these people were let in and out. 3 colleagues and a good friend. He left a half an hour into the stand-up. The other 3 left at the end of the performance. Does that mean the other 3 left at the end of this 11 p.m. performance? So he let them in, but they didn't leave. So the only person who left early is the friend. 3 colleagues and a good friend who was a croupier here until he was fired last week. I see. Okay. So this guy was fired last week, but yesterday this guy let him in anyway. All right. We've got a video footage here. As part of our investigation into the disappearance of Charlie Young, the management of the Magic Mirror Casino has offered us access to their security footage. We've been reviewing the footage, and it appears there's considerable evidence he's been cheating for almost 2 months now. He's careful not to appear too conspicuous, losing as many hands as he wins, never playing for too long. But he was crafty enough to leave with more money than he came in with every night he played. On this occasion, however, his cheating was discovered when he won certain hands. It seems 2 of the other players had expected to win certain hands and could tell Charlie had cheated when he was able to beat them. I don't know how they could tell, and if they're also cheating, why the Magic Mirror isn't pressing charges with them too. But I'm passing this report on to the anti-corruption department to see if they can investigate further. The dealer is Jimmy Nash. Players from left to right, we've got Norma Mitchum, Charlie Young, our guy, Nikki Pons, Todd Pons, okay, the 2 criminals, and an unknown player. So these are the 2 syndicates that are always together. Norma Mitchum, he is on our suspect list. And there's our guy. Let's zoom into this and see if we can see anything. Okay, he's got his hands by his mouth. There are the 2. And then someone else we don't know. We might be able to identify them as someone in our list. Is it possible it's this guy? No. He looks like he's got a bit more of a beard and some blonde hair. I don't see, nothing else jumps out at me from the photo. We're told the identification of the dealer. Jimmy Nash. Well, Jimmy Nash is on our suspect list, maybe. So maybe we'll have to figure that out. But more importantly, we've got, well, not more importantly, but we do also have a timestamp here. March 24th at 10:13 p.m., so a week ago. And then there's this interesting description of how they knew he was cheating. It says that two of the other players, maybe these two, expected to win. And because he won, they knew he must have cheated. It almost sounds like these two were working with the dealer and they were supposed to win. And so this guy was breaking the system. Well, that would be a reason why they might kill him, I suppose. Jonathan says, it's a bit odd that they apparently paying customers aren't allowed to leave to use the restroom. Just leave if they're not enjoying themselves. Maybe the correct reading is just you can't, if you leave, you can't come back in. Yeah, or there's a restroom there. Like you can't leave out the back door. I think that's how I was reading it. Like you can't leave out the back door. Okay, and here we have Charlie Young's release from prison, it looks like. Charles Francis Young, released from confinement at the Nevada Correctional Facility, November 1st, 2014. So 4 months ago, he's released. Discharge, sentence is complete. He's not on parole or being supervised, so he's fully served his sentence. Looks like he served a full 20 years. If that newspaper is right. And what have we got? What are the signatures here? Faculty head, facility head, Peter Bates. Inmate's name, Charles Young. 25140 Lancelot Court. Looks like where his address may be. Okay. Here we've got, looks like an autopsy. Marge Adams, chief medical examiner. Okay, they performed an autopsy the next morning. Charles Charlie Young, 55 years old, 5'11". They didn't do a toxicology because he's stabbed. What's the point? They did an x-ray. Cause of death is obvious. Bullet wounds to the front of the torso. Wow, 4 bullet wounds, 3 right into the heart. That seems like a professional. I'm not sure what's going on here. Heart and lungs destroyed by gunshots. ACP bullets. Does someone know what ACP is? Is that armor-piercing rounds? Not armor-piercing, but jacketed rounds for better, just more destruction. All right, corporate jet list update. We don't know what this is about. Sullivan Sykes to Harry Butler. 1st of March, so a month before the murder. Harry, following my divorce, I'd like to update the list of people entitled to use the corporate jet. The complete list is as follows. Company president, senior vice president, pilots, and steward. If anyone not on the list wishes to use the corporate jet, they must ask for and receive permission from the company president. I'd like to take this opportunity to say I will never give permission for anyone else to use the jet unless they're on the list. Yours, Sullivan Sykes, company president of S. Sykes Industries. As a key suspect in this case, we asked Sykes for access to his webmail, and this was the only thing of recent interest. Las Vegas police force. A month before, he's getting divorced, and he wants to make sure his wife can't get on the plane. This Pamanite says an ACP is just an automatic Colt pistol round. That's what makes them think it's a pistol. Okay, fair enough. Las Vegas psychiatrist report for Juno Hara Greer. Okay, so here we have JHG. This is going to be a relative of the woman who was killed in our guy's driving accident 20 years ago, which sent him to prison. It looks like this is going to be the daughter or something. And the date is 10 days before our murder. This is the first time I've seen the patient in several years. However, they requested a session as the person who had killed their daughter, oh, it's the parent. Person who had killed their daughter 20 years ago had been released from prison, and they were finding it hard to accept they had been allowed to go free. It had been the grief of the loss of her daughter which brought the patient to me for counseling in the first place. Since then, the patient had gotten to the point where they no longer needed my services. However, seeing the person playing cards at the Magic Mirror Casino brought it all back. That being said, the patient's mood is less sad than it was back then. Now her mood is angrier instead, focusing less on the loss of her daughter and more on the perceived injustice that her killer is now free from prison, as she feels he should have been sent away longer. To quote the patient, that he's allowed to pick up his life where he left in '94. Jackie won't be able to do the same thing, so why should he be able to? Her anger was also directed at the government institutions, which she feels have let her down by releasing the killer. I was worried such thoughts might lead to her seeking vigilante justice against the killer, so I instructed her in some exercises to control her anger. I also tried to help the patient reflect on the positives in her life and less on the killer. And she mentioned the book she was writing to take her mind off the grief of years ago. If I recall, it was something about fruit and geese that Doubleback published a few months ago. While focusing on the accomplishment of getting a book published will definitely help matters, I still think there is still progress to be made in terms of her anger management. I have concerns that if the killer were to make contact with my client in an attempt to build bridges and seek forgiveness, her current state of mind could lead to a reprisal. As such, we have booked another appointment for a fortnight's time. Okay, well, he's saying if she ran into him, she saw him at the Magic Mirror Casino, it stirred up everything, so she requested a session. He says if they meet, this woman, the mother of the woman who died, could want revenge, and from the items we found in his possession, it looks like he planned to go to the book signing, so they may have met. On the other hand, is this woman going to have a silenced pistol and be such a good shot to shoot him in the heart and lungs? It seems unlikely. Also, I keep returning to the 20 years. 20 years for driving a car that ends up in the death of a passenger? That's pretty strict. That seems pretty rare that you would get that much time. So that seems like he did his time to me. All right, what have we got here? Notice of termination, March 25th, less than a week before the shooting. Dear Mr. Nash, it's come to our attention that several games have taken place at your table involving a man now known to have been cheating. As a trained croupier, you should have noticed this man was cheating and brought the matter to our attention. The fact that you allowed this to happen has the possibility of damaging the reputation of this casino and perhaps encouraging further copycat incidents. Since you either did not notice this cheating or noticed it and refused to report it, we have lost our trust and faith in you and your ability to perform your duties to the level we expect. As such, we have taken the decision to terminate your employment with immediate effect. So this was the dealer. The croupier, I guess, is just another name for dealer, who we've got on camera dealing. There's Jimmy Nash dealing to our guy where he was cheating, and we think these guys were cheating too. He is one of our suspects. They've fired him, and is he the person that that our other witness let in? Where's our statement? He let 3 colleagues and a good friend who was a croupier here until he was fired last week. Okay, so the person that this guy let in, Katie Marsh, let in Nash, who's just been fired. So he was there, who left an hour into the show, which started at 7:30. So he was let out at 8:30, Nash. Possibly where the body was found. So that is interesting. All right, what's this? Part of our ongoing investigation into organized crime gangs in Las Vegas, last month we set up a covert surveillance station in an apartment across the street from a suspected base of operations, 7014 Valley Boulevard at the intersection of Valley and Dane. These included a pair of parabolic microphones directed at the apartment, which pick up sound within the apartment. The surveillance station is manned by a skeleton crew of 2 officers, myself and Danielle Eastman, posing as a newly married couple. This way we can keep our presence in the area small so as not to draw attention to ourselves, and also because that was all the budget allowed for. Though we do not have eyes on the apartment 24/7, the microphones allow us to identify whether or not the occupants are in the building, i.e. the flat lines indicate that the apartment is empty. We've managed to isolate a conversation they had on the night of March 31st and confirmed that it is the leaders of the gang speaking by spectrographically matching their voices to their vocal prints. Unfortunately, however, the clarity of the recording isn't high enough to discern what it is the 2 of them are actually saying. Okay, so we know that it's these 2 twins, the Pons twins, that have their headquarters here. And this is letting us know, remember, they're always together. Here they are having a conversation. So let's take a quicker look. This looks like our alibi. So we've got a timeline that they're in the apartment. We know they're in the apartment from 10 p.m. to 10, maybe looks like 10:42 or so p.m. on the night of March 31st. So this is a pretty good alibi for the 2 of them if we think that the death happened somewhere around 10:30. We don't know exactly when yet. We'll go back and try to narrow that down more. But this seems to put these 2, to give these 2 an alibi, because of this address and us knowing that the man and the woman, that these 2 have an apartment there. Their base of operations is at 7014, and these are people staking out that place. So I think we've got pretty good alibis for them. Okay, here's Harry Parker being interviewed. He's senior vice president of Sykes. We still don't know why these people are persons of interest in our case, but let's find out. Got a mobile telephone number. Cruz. This is Diego Cruz of the LVPF Anti-Corruption Department. I've traveled to the residence of Harry Parker of S. Sykes Industries in Valley Boulevard. The time is 9:45 p.m. on Tuesday, 31st March 2015. I'm following up on the incident that was reported on March 29th when a man set fire to Mr. Parker's lawn. Mr. Parker, I apologize for the time of day. However, we have since apprehended a person matching the profile of a man that neighbors saw fleeing the crime scene. We believe this man has links to organized crime in Las Vegas. Hence, I need to move this case forward quickly. Mr. Parker, do you have any idea why this man did what he did? No idea whatsoever. Why don't you ask him? We have. He refuses to talk. Furthermore, this man is suspected to be connected to the Pons twins. Any idea why they tried to kill you? This was a deliberate, targeted attack. You must have some idea. Nope, sorry. I see. Well, this is a still from your casino security showing the Pons twins playing at your casino last Tuesday. They discover a fellow player's cheating and they get angry. Furthermore, after analyzing the footage, we believe they had been playing with the deck stacked in their favor. Mr. Parker, something is happening between S. Sykes Industries and the Ponses, and we'd like to know what. No comment. I advise you to answer the question. It'll look bad for the company if I do. I think it already looks bad for the company. Okay, it all goes back to Sykes Grand Acres project. Sully wanted to buy a large patch of land to build a new housing development called Grand Acres. The only problem was that the Harwood and Company bottling plant was on the land he wanted to build on. And of course, the plant was a protected building. He'd only be able to knock it down if it lost its historical value. Now, Sully often used the Pons twins to do his dirty work. They're the sort who have no qualms doing illegal things, and neither did Sully. But he had a public image to maintain. So the suspected arson of the Harwood and Company bottling plant was carried out by Todd and Nikki Pons? Yeah, that's correct. And what was Mr. Sykes doing for the Ponses in return? Well, paying them off, of course. He always paid them handsomely for their work. Of course, he couldn't do it directly in case someone traced the money, so technically he wouldn't pay them at all. They'd conveniently win the required amount at his casino. See, they'd play a game of poker at one of the tables in the casino. The cards were rigged, so they'd get winning hands. That's how they'd get their money. It was all organized ahead of time, which hands they'd bet on. If they won all the time, it looked too suspicious. And what happened? Well, there was another guy at the table. He was somehow winning hands that the Ponses should have been winning. Turns out he was cheating too. When we reviewed the footage from the security cameras, we couldn't believe who it was. Only Charlie Young, the old magician who got caught with a DUI all those years ago. He fled as soon as he was rumbled and managed to give security the slip. What was the Pons' reaction? Well, they got upset. Sully tried to tell him the truth that this guy wasn't connected with us, and the fact he was also playing at the table was a mere coincidence. But they wouldn't listen. Pons twins don't believe in coincidence. The nature of their business has made them overly suspicious about everything. They came to the conclusion that he was a plant, that Sully was trying to renege on the deal and had put that guy there to get in the way of them winning their money. They swore revenge. And how did Mr. Sykes take it? Well, he was angry. He lost 2 useful accomplices and feared for the reputation of the casino if word got out about this guy cheating. Since there was a celebrity involved, it did. He wanted revenge. He put a bounty on Young in the hope someone would bring him to him. No, I mean, how did Mr. Sykes take the Ponses swearing revenge? Oh, he didn't care. Typical Sully bluster, he just dismissed it as an empty threat. Told me not to worry about it. I guess he thinks the Ponses will come around and realize their mistake. Also, the Ponses want him to apologize, and he's not gonna. So why go after you? To intimidate Sully, I guess, show they mean business. Okay, thank you, Mr. Parker. As it's dark outside, my forensics team would like to check the gate for any prints with the UV lamps. Can you stick around for a couple hours while we do this? Sure, but please be discreet. I don't want to attract any more attention. Okay, so the plot thickens a little bit. We now learn that the Sykes is the owner of the casino. So we've got access to his email, and we found out about his private jet. He doesn't. Well, he wants to restrict people flying on it because he's getting divorced. But it turns out that we got more details about why the two twins, the Pons couple, were at the table, why they got upset, that they were playing these fake hands. They were supposed to win money, and our guy, the old magician with the DUI, interfered. Somehow we're supposed to believe that they would want revenge on the other guy. That seems pointless. What, you wouldn't blame that guy. They blame Sykes for trying to renege, but they want their money, so it just makes no sense that the two of them would try to kill this guy. Of course, the casino owner might try to kill him to show that you can't get away with cheating the casino. And then we're told a couple of extra little details, right? One is that like a celebrity was at the table. Since there was a celebrity involved, it did get out. So that's interesting. He put a bounty on him in the hope someone would bring him to him. So this is the first we're hearing about a bounty, but it doesn't sound like the bounty is to kill him. It sounds like the bounty is to bring him back. So I don't think someone killed him for the bounty. And then we're told about this job they did for him. And then are we meant to think that this is in the same, on the same block as the rest? Harry Parker, Valley Boulevard. So this is also Valley Boulevard. We were told that the house that they're in is owned by some conglomerate. I'm guessing that the Pons' apartment is actually owned by the casino owner, and that's what we're being led to believe. Chat says it was fixed for them to win. Nash should have been in on it and not get fired afterwards. That's a good point. But maybe they still fire him because he's letting the magician steal. And Tina says the celebrity is the magician. Maybe that's what. Maybe. Okay, our next piece of evidence. Hello, Charlie. Glad to hear your little stay in the joint has come to an end. Hope it's not too hard adjusting back to life on the outside. I trust your stay away wasn't too hard on your health. After all, I have it on good authority from my associates that you were well looked after. Of course, they didn't look after you for nothing. We scratched your back, so now it's time for you to scratch ours. Included in this package is a burner phone. Next week, it'll receive some text. I advise you to read them because I have a favor for you. If you don't respond, there will be repercussions. Don't try and pretend the package got lost. We'll be sure to send it tracked and signed for. Found in the trash by police investigating Charlie Young's house, March 25th. Why does it say March 25th if he was killed on the 31st? Anyway, this explains the phone in his possession being a burner phone, and it looks like they want him to cheat for them, whoever this is. So I'm going to put on my notes, though, this oddity of the Hello Charlie letter. So we have some handwriting that we might try to match up with someone. And then March 25 date. Does anyone have any reading of what's going on with this date? Why would the police be investigating his house on March 25th before he's murdered? Is it because he was reported cheating at cards and then he went on the run? Maybe so. Maybe that's the explanation. So they found this between the time he got caught for cheating and went on the run and the time of his murder. Right? Here he is cheating on the 24th. By the 25th, the cops are called investigating his house. Okay. Why has he come back to being outside the casino on the 31st? Doesn't that seem very strange? Like, he's on the run. They've caught him cheating. They've called the police. Why isn't he far away from here? That's very strange to me. Okay, here we are at Zebras, the place that the workers at the Magic Mirror Casino go to after work. April 1st, 11:14 a.m. So this is the night of the murder, a couple hours after the murder. No. The night of the murder, many hours after. Oh, I see. It goes from here on. So here's the morning of the murder, afternoon, morning of the murder, afternoon of the murder, and then the next day. All right, so let's see. Karaoke sing-off is from 9 to 11. Had a couple people sign up. So if someone was at this karaoke for the whole time, that would give him an alibi. Reminder to all participants in tonight's karaoke sing-off, spirit of good sportsmanship, you must stay to watch all other performers. Any competitors who leave during the show will be disqualified. Okay, so if you fully qualified, then they know you were there from 9 to 11, which would give you an alibi. A big thank you to everyone who participated. Congratulations to Maria Schmidt, who won, as well as Jim and Joe, who took second place, and Chris Mitten, who took third. All right, well, none of those people are particularly on our list that we know of, unless Jim and Joe are people we don't know. And then we've got a photo of the boss. Submissions to the boss by midnight. Okay. Doesn't really help us yet, but clearly seems to be like it could be used to alibi someone. Maybe we'll get that in our internet. Las Vegan Magazine, 15th of March. Okay, so 2 weeks before our murder. Expose, protection racket in Nevada's prison. Upcoming vote. Culture vulture. Expose, the protection racket in Nevada prisons. Remember that letter to him suggested someone had set up protection for him in the prison. So now it looks like we're going to read a little bit about it. The Nevada Correctional Facility is the largest maximum security prison in the state. As one might expect from such an institution, the threat of violence is rife. While the prison is highly guarded, these guards are there mostly to keep the prisoners from escaping. Keeping the prisoners in line is another part of their job, but many of the inmates don't trust them to do so. Simply put, the guards do not provide much in the way of a deterrence against misbehavior. They will break up fights when they start, but they don't do much to stop them beginning in the first place. To those inmates who want to get to the end of their sentence unscathed, they cannot simply rely on the guards for their protection. That's where the gangs come in. Many of our sources chose to remain anonymous for this piece due to the threat of violent reprisals if they spoke out, but the stories they tell are all the same. First-time prisoners, scared for their well-being, approached by gang members, preying on the terror of a random attack, offering to protect them for the duration of their sentence, telling them stories of the unfortunate ends met by those who refused their services. Once the deal is struck, the gang makes it known that that inmate is affiliated with them, and anyone who attacks them will face violent retribution. Of course, this protection isn't offered for nothing. The service is provided on the condition that, once the inmate is released, they will return the favor to the gang, extorted by the threat of violence into working for them. Returning these favors often, if not always, involves illegal activity and has therefore become a significant reason for repeat offending. In the course of our investigation, we found that protection rackets linked with the Las Vegas mob have been operating within several Nevada prisons, some for as long as 40 years. We discovered that 10 years ago, after a brutal inter-gang fight at NCF, the various Vegas mob groups formed a pact and divided the prison rackets amongst the groups, fearing further prison fighting would expose the rackets and result in crackdowns from prison management. As such, new inmates will come under the protection of a particular gang at a particular prison. For example, the Haterag mob controls the Nevada Correctional Facility racket, while the rival Ponds mob have control over the racket in Clark County Correctional Center. While this truce has been shaky at times, it still stands today. When we put our findings to Frank Spratt, director of the Nevada Department of Correctional Facilities, he simply stated that we're aware of the problem, and since taking the post, I've been making it a priority to crack down on this behavior. We're committed to making sure those incarcerated in our prisons are completely rehabilitated when they're released and never have cause to reoffend. So these people are claiming to have arranged this protection. And if we look at our certificate, we can see he was in the Nevada Correctional Facility. And we're told the gangs split it up, that the Haterag mob controlled the Nevada Correctional Facility racket, while the Ponds mob are Clark County. So that's why the Haterag group is under suspicion. Because the Haterag gang, we think now, arranged protection and probably therefore sent the Dear Charlie letter and the burner phone, etc. And probably wanted him to cheat at cards and get money from them. Okay. Now we've got some cell phone records. We don't have a cell phone. We know they gave him a phone, but we don't know his number. Okay. Device owner James Nash. So this is the dealer who got fired for letting them cheat. And here's his phone number. Okay, so incoming a day before the murder, 10 a.m. Hey, how's it going? He sends a message back out. Well, gee, Joe, I lost my job last week. How do you think? I might have a thing to cheer you up. Yeah, revenge? How about a night out tomorrow? Not the best of ideas, is it? I have no money. Can you still get free drinks and tickets at Magic Mirror? Well, yeah, but it relies on my old colleagues and it will only be for me. I can't take guests. I'll have to sneak out halfway through to meet you. Okay, well, sort yourself out. Just let me know your plans. Okay, just called Katie. That's the first half of my night sorted. Have you told the boss what we are doing? Leave that to me. I'll meet you after you've seen Larry. Okay, let's hope it's not a complete disaster. Don't hold me accountable if it all goes wrong. You ready? We're doing it at 10:30, but we still have to be there by 9. The boss is calling the shots on this one. Yeah, 1 second. Katie's helping me slip out the back undetected. Don't want security spotting me. Meet me there. Okay, so this is telling us everything we need to know. Our fired dealer is making plans with Joe. James Nash is making plans with Joe. And what are their plans? Well, it's to enter the karaoke. And Jim and Joe, which is James and Joe, they actually won second place. And this is what they're planning to do. He's going to go and hear the stand-up of this comic, who is friend Katie, who is the person that is our witness who says she let her friend in. Here's our Katie Marsh. So she let him into the show. She lets him sneak out the back. They say we have to be there by 9. And we know from them winning that they were there for the whole time, from 9 to 11. So there's our alibi for James Nash, the dealer. Not that we really considered that he was going to be the murderer, but he does say he's interested a little bit in revenge because our magician got him fired. But he's alibied out now. So there we go. All right, let's check in with the chat. Then we'll take a little break. So yes, I think we've just got our good alibi. Or we've worked out the karaoke alibi. All right, well, we'll take a break here. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Okay, we're back. We've ruled out one of our suspects with an alibi, and now we're going to continue going through, see if we can rule someone else out. Here we have, looks like some CCTV the day after the murder. We've been examining the CCTV footage, camera 6, from behind the Magic Mirror Casino. Alas, their security footage does not extend to the dumpster where the body was found, only to the rear door that leads to the kitchen. So all we can glean from that is that the killer was not one of the casino's kitchen staff. Okay, so here they are. They're looking at camera footage at 10:40 p.m. They can see the kitchen door, but the dumpster must be behind us. However, we found footage of a woman walking through the alleyway beside the casino around the time of the murder. This camera still captures her walking back towards the front of the casino, away from the back area where the body was discovered. CCTV from the Las Vegas Strip confirms she vacated the area and did not return. Whoa, there's a pistol in her purse. "10:40 p.m. She's got a revolver. Well, that's interesting, right? Because there's two important things here. First of all, we can see what she's wearing. Silver State Insurance, AG. That's a clue. But the other thing has to do with this being a revolver. Because while you could put a silencer on a revolver, it's pretty rare. But more importantly, I believe our ballistics report suggested it was a semi-automatic that was used. Let's find that report. So here's our ballistics report. Okay, 32 ACP semi-automatic pistol. Okay, so this is not a semi-automatic pistol. This is a revolver. It is interesting, though, that they didn't find any shell casings. Revolver doesn't eject shell casings, so if they didn't find shell casings, that might make you think that it was a revolver, but they've identified the rounds as being from a semi-automatic. So it's not her gun. This is just this is going to be the mother of the girl that was killed, Shirley. But maybe she had a gun to threaten him, or maybe she planned to shoot him, but she did not. Now, where's his items that was on it? So she was attending some insurance. I was just looking for if this is some, we don't know. We don't have, that's our first time hearing about this connection. AJ Insurance. But I don't think that's our murder weapon, so I think this person is not involved. But now, why was she there so close to his death? I don't know. Like she's walking around with that gun just sticking right out of her purse. All right. Looks like we got more information about this guy's airplane for some reason. It's a domestic flight plan. Turbojet. Departure point, Harry Reid, Las Vegas. Cruising altitude, there's his flight plan. On the night of the murder, departure time 21:30, proposed, actual, so they actually left 33 minutes. Guess this is confirmation. Direct flight, 4 hour and 50 minutes. 2 crew, 1 steward, 1 passenger. Pilot's name Walter Andrews. Submitted 2025, 21:45 updated. So they left basically on time, departing from Harry Reid, Las Vegas to New York. Somehow, I guess this is just telling us that this person got on this plane at 11:30. They had to have gotten from the casino to actually depart by 11:30. Probably that's an alibi. Not for certain, though. We don't, until we know that it would have taken them more than 40 minutes to get to this airplane. Counseling, another follow-up counseling 3 days before murder. Marriage counseling. Norma and Gregory Mitchum. Christine Welsh. The couple came to me experiencing issues due to the wife's excessive gambling. This came to a head earlier this week when she lost $42,000 at the Magic Mirror Casino. Let me see what the chat says. Check, Jesse. 21:30 would be 9:30, not 11:30. Oh, good point. Thank you. You're quite right. So, okay, so this is a strong alibi. Yes, you're quite right. This is not 11:30, but 9:30. All right, so anyone on this plane could not have been the murderer. And we know this is the plane owned by the boss of the casino. I guess we believe it is. Otherwise, why would we be looking at it? But we can confirm that. So there's his email about his corporate jet, N6966, NN696, 4N. Okay, so there's confirmation that his flight, that he was in the air. He's the only one allowed to take it. So he's alibied. Okay, now we're here. Now here's a new set of people that are suspects. The Mitchums. Wow, the wife lost $42,000. Husband is concerned about how much of their money wife has lost. At the gambling tables, feels he can no longer trust her. He wants her to accept that she has a gambling addiction, stay away from the casinos. Wife was insistent she didn't need to accept that she was a good gambler, as she was a good gambler. It's just that another person playing at the same table had been cheating. Indeed, she harbors quite an alarming amount of vicious intent towards the person whose cheating she believes is what caused her to lose the games. He felt the fact she had lost $42,000 is a knock against her claim that she's a good gambler. I emphasized the need for her to listen to his concerns, how best to take them on board and not brush them aside so that the husband feels respected. In fact, listening and respect were the main areas I thought needed working on and focused on developing between the two. I feel the couple made a lot of good progress in these areas during this session. I have referred her to another counselor who specializes in treating gambling addictions. In the meantime, the couple agreed to focus on finding a way to clear their debts accrued by the gambling, and she agreed to put trips to the casino on hold until the debts were cleared. I hope in time she's able to knock the habit for good, but tackling an addiction is not my area of expertise, so I feel that's a decent start. Okay, so I think what we're going to find is that it's possible that that's her and not the mother. But let's get out that. Okay, so here's Norma Mitchum. Norma Mitchum is at the table. There she is. I was going to see if we have a ID from the insurer's thing, but this and this looks like possibly same person, don't you think? We didn't have any name on this badge, did we? Oh, sorry, it's over here. Silver State Insurance. I think we're going to find out that she probably works for Silver State Insurance. But here she is at the table, losing her money, blaming him. Is that the same person, do you think? Looks like it to me. Okay. Norma and Gregory Mitchum. And Gregory doesn't blame her, so he's not going to be shooting her. And we know that woman didn't shoot him because of the wrong gun. Okay, here we're going to hear about travel times. Okay, let's take a look. There's the Magic Mirror Casino. Mountain View Hotel, we don't know what that's about. We don't care about distance to the airport since we know that was 9:30 p.m. Couldn't have been anywhere near there. There is the airport. There's the bottling plant that the twins set on fire. Wonder what Mountain View Hotel is about. All right, so it doesn't seem like we have use for this yet, but we may very well. Okay, more cell phone records. Obtained from number 822922. We don't know who that is. Conversing with 7427955. Time for me to call in the favor you owe. So this may be to our guy who got killed from the Haderag gang, perhaps. Seems this might be an opportune time for me because I see you got in trouble with the law last week. This is on the night of the murder. So is this person from the gang saying they to our guy who got killed, talking about his arrest last week? I see you got in trouble with the law last week. I could help with that. You know, we have connections to Mr. Sykes. We could get them to drop the charges, okay? They have connections to the casino owner. And he says, how'd you do that? Never mind that, it's not for you to know. But if you get me off the hook, wouldn't that just mean another favor I'd have to repay? Yes, it would, but I'm offering to help. Think you can wait it out until the heat dies down? It'll be a long time before that happens. Get real. How many other people can help you now? It seems none, as I thought. No need to worry, though. This little favor's an easy one. And then the person calling him says, I've got to be at Armando's tonight. The bathroom attendant there is a good friend of mine. He offers various products, mints, fragrance, hair products, etc. Ask him if he has any strawberry chewing gum. You will need that to know where to go, and he will give you a listening device too. When you've got it, text me and I'll give you further instructions. And then the same person says, where are you now anyway? I take it you're not at home. And our guy says, misdirection allowed me to hide where they'll never look for me. And then the criminal says, I've just left the device with the bathroom attendant. And he says, okay, I've got it. What do I do now? So they are definitely talking about the stuff that we found on his person on that night. He says, the strawberry gum, I see. So this address, 701 Fort Valley Boulevard, was written on it and then wrapped in some gum and put in the pack. He was told to get it. He got it. He opened 2 pieces till he found it. Okay, so this person who's contacted him, which we think is from the Haderag gang, because he's mentioning he already owes him a favor, has said, you'll find the listening device in this package, and you're going to use this at this location, presumably to listen to those two twins who work there, I guess. And misdirection is a magician speak. Yes, absolutely. So this is more confirmation that this is our magician. Okay, the messages continue. Gain entry to the address, plant the device immediately. Meet me later at Marcel Street and we'll square things with Sykes & Co. He says, I'm in. So this is 10:12 p.m. on the night he's murdered. He's actually in. Then he says, how do I do this? How do I turn it on? And the reply gets back at 10:13 is, however you want, I don't care, just get it done. The device is always on. It can't be turned off. I can hear them in the background, but it's not very clear. Move it. Then our magician says, give me a chance. It's still in my pocket. I'm waiting for the opportune moment. Our guy says, the sound is still unclear by 10:20. He says, I know, I'm still hiding. I can't escape yet. 10:22. How have you done that? The feed is completely dropped. No answer. Okay, so now we know when he was killed. In this 15-minute period, 18-second gap, he was killed. He says it can't be turned off. He's hiding at 10:21 p.m. And then this guy says, you just turned it off. How did you do that? We know he just got shot. And he's shot hiding outside this Valley Boulevard place. Well, I guess we can't be sure of that, but we know he was shot at 10:21:50, approximately 21:50. So we know almost exactly the time of death. Now, what I wanted to point out, the device was found on Charlie Young. We believe it is a burner phone. We're unsure who the other number belongs to, probably another burner. Okay. This was our phone from 555-427-955. Okay, so I want to point something out. He picks up this package at Armando's. We know he must have gone there to get it. I don't know if that's on our map here. But what I wanted to point out is that we know the address he got instructions to go to, 7014 Valley Boulevard. Now, where is that on our map? Here's Valley Boulevard, right? Now, the weird thing is the body is found here, right? Outside the Magic Mirror Casino. But he's supposed to be at 7014 Valley Boulevard, planting this listening device, and he's killed. So we have two possibilities as I see it. The first obvious possibility is that he's gained entry, he's hiding, and then he's shot. And then he's shot at 10:22, and then his body must be taken and dumped in the dumpster outside the Magic Mirror Casino. Two other possibilities, though. One possibility that jumps to mind is that it's possible he's not actually where he's claiming to be. because this guy can't hear anything. He can kind of hear some background noise. This guy says, I'm there, I'm just hiding. That seems the most likely case, but we should at least keep in mind the idea that he's actually claiming to be at 7014 Valley Boulevard, but he's actually just hiding out in this dumpster where he gets killed. But it seems more likely that he's at 7014. And that he's discovered and killed. Now that we know exactly when he's killed, can we go check that sound spectrograph and see if that lines up with this timing, since we have such a clear time now? Let's take a look. So he's killed at 10:21:44, somewhere a couple 15 seconds in there. Where does this map up with this? And 21:44. 10:21:44 is here. So it's a little strange. It's like the cops are recording them talking and they don't miss a beat. Don't you think they would go, if they heard something and they were hunting for him, there would be some quiet? But it does make sense when this guy says I can hear him in the background, but it's not clear. And this is a rival gang, we think. The Haderad gang is rivals with the Pawns, so it does make sense that they might want to spy on them. But who has caught him? That's the question. If it's one of the two twins, it's a little, their sound is a little odd. All right, so we've got two newspapers here. Two full newspapers. And then, all right, so we've only got 3 pieces of evidence left and the online component, 2 newspapers, and a map. Blueprints. DJ Moneycut says, fills us in with a couple of pieces of information. DJ Moneycut says he was killed elsewhere and dumped, hence the no shells on the scene. There should be a spike if there was a gunshot. Jonathan says, remember, the gun had a silencer. All very good points. And Dane and Valley is 7014. That's good. That's a good reminder. I had forgotten that we knew that the intersection was with Dane. So let's just quickly look at where our Dane and Valley Park is here. So if we think he was killed here at 7014, someone had to transport him here. All right. Let's take a look at this map before we read the newspaper. Okay, so this is referring to the security CCTV camera that caught the kitchen door. I want to remind you that one of the hallmarks of the Cryptic Killers games, in our experience, has been, unlike many of these games, one of the hallmarks seems to be like a piece of evidence that once you figure it out is your little aha key clue. Okay, so camera 6, camera 5. Camera 6 is pointing to the kitchen entrance. Here's that right here. And camera 5 is the alley that's catching this woman coming down this way, possibly leaving from here. But notice here, Marcel Street. That's important because that's where that guy on the phone wanted to meet. That's a little suspicious, right? He says, meet me at Marcel Street and we'll square things away. So the woman walking down this way with a revolver, she's walking down there at 10:39 p.m. Not clear what she's doing there. Here is where the body was found in the dumpster. It is interesting that it's right on Marcel Street. We know that the criminal who dumped it there probably did not walk down this alley because the camera would have caught her. Assuming that the casino wants to share proper CCTV and wants him caught, but could have come this way. Like this would be a clear escape, not on any cameras or through the parking garage. All right, let's look at our two newspapers. One from the week before when he must have gotten caught cheating, and one from the day after the murder. So let's start here. Fire damaged bottling plant to lose historic protection. Remember, this is what the casino owner hired the two twins, the Pons people, to do so he could buy that land. And what else do we have? Anything else of import here? All right. Nevada State Historic Preservation Office said yesterday that the Harwood and Company bottling plant will be struck from the Register of Historic Places following the catastrophic fire last week. John Abraham, a spokesperson for the SHPO, said that having carefully discussed the issue and having weighed up the merits of both arguments, they decided the fire had damaged the building to such an extent that the building no longer held any historic value and was therefore no longer worthy of being protected. The Harwood fire was a great tragedy for the city, and we did not make this decision lightly. We looked into every possibility of keeping the ruins of the plant standing, but the fire damaged the structural integrity of the building in such a way that we feel it would be unsafe for it to remain standing. The news comes as a blow, as the Las Vegas Historical Society had been campaigning to keep the building protected. Lucy Pascal of the LVHS said, the Harwood and Company plant is the oldest bottling plant in the state. It provided an essential service to the people of this state and beyond in the days before water chlorination. While it has been some time since it was a working plant, there's no escaping the fact that, by providing safe drinking water, the plant made it possible for people to live in this region. I think that it should be preserved, even if the building is in ruins. I mean, imagine if the Greeks and the Italians destroyed a place just because it was in ruins. The removal of the plant's protection means the land the plant stands on, purchased by the state when the plant went out of operation in 1979 to help protect it, will now be sold off. LVHS campaigners are hoping the eventual buyer of the land may decide to keep the ruins standing, and they don't expect this to happen. But they don't expect this to happen. Said Lucy Pascal, my bet is that Sullivan Sykes will get the land and he'll bulldoze it to make way for something else. He's never shown an interest in preserving history. It just gets in the way of his business interests. The Herald Times approached Sykes Industries for comment, but they refused to respond to our or Mrs. Pascal's comments. The SHPO are hoping to install some of the 19th century cast iron bottling machinery that survived the fire in the Museum of Las Vegas History as part of a permanent exhibit on the history of the Harwood and Company plant and water distribution in general. Said John Abraham, while it's a great tragedy what has happened to the plant, it is our intention that every measure is taken to ensure that it remains a key part of the city's history, that continues to be taught for as long as the city stands. Meanwhile, the police investigation into how the fire started is still ongoing. Well, we know how it started. Okay, here's a little picture. The ruins of the Harwood and Company bottling plant. Nothing really important for us here. We know it was burned down by arson, and we know by who. We've got a real estate company. We've got a movie advertisement. Only the good die. Doesn't seem relevant for us. Then we've got an article about our magician being cheated. Being caught cheating. Let's see what we've got here. Former magician on the run after cheating at poker. Players at the Magic Mirror. Is there any clue here in this thing? Any writing on that glass that's of import? Doesn't look like it. William Kent. Police were called to the Magic Mirror Casino last night after a player was caught cheating at one of the casino's poker tables. The man immediately fled the scene and was able to evade the casino's security guards. Police have said they have issued a warrant for his arrest and have begun a manhunt to find him and bring him to justice. While reviewing the casino's CCTV footage, investigators recognized the cheater as former stage magician Charlie Young. Young's career ended when he was sent to prison in 1994 on a manslaughter charge and had been released last year when his sentence came to an end. Allegedly, Young's attempts to restart his stage career repeatedly faltered due to his reputation being irreversibly damaged by his crimes. Showbiz promoter Danielle Rose said to us that he was eager to pick up where he left off and make a big return. 20 years behind bars hadn't affected his enthusiasm or his skill. However, what he did 20 years ago had affected the public's appetite to pay to watch him perform. When asked if this had all been a stunt to generate publicity, Miss Rose said, "I doubt it. I initially thought it might, that the Magic Mirror had signed Charlie and that this was all an act engineered by the Magic Mirror to get his name about. But I've heard through the grapevine that this is not an act and that the Magic Mirror are pretty steamed, to put it mildly. If he was trying to rebuild his career, I don't think he'd risk being thrown back into prison. My bet is that he was trying to raise a bit of dough when he couldn't get any. Or maybe he felt he had nothing to lose and wanted to see if he could get away with it. You'd have to ask him yourself. The police are asking anyone with any information to come forward. They're also warning the public that Mr. Young may be armed and dangerous." Not sure why they think that. Now, here is Mountain View Hotels. Come stay in our newly refurbished chain of hotels opening next week. Use code MVH2015. That seems like it might be relevant to us. It's on our map where this hotel is, so I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember all the details to that internet password. Did he mention his hotel? Jonathan says, "I feel the original task the magician was given must have been to tank the poker game to sour the relationship between the twins and the casino, but it's less clear to me what the point of the second assignment was." That's an interesting idea. You'd think he was purposely sent to mess up their game and not just make money. That's interesting. Well, let's keep reading here. Records broken for charity. 3 Las Vegas friends have each made an attempt to break a world record to raise money for charity. In the end, they raised $1,500 together. Baker Miles Russell was the most successful, breaking the record for longest sustained note on a wind or brass instrument, holding a note on his trombone for 1 minute, 25 seconds. Meanwhile, Robert Hadley of the LVPF put his juggling skills to the test in an attempt to break the 8-ball record. However, at 54 seconds, he was 19 seconds shy from matching the record set by Anthony Gatto back in 2006. This is related to our internet password because Robert Hadley is our detective. And we were asked some kind of question about him. So that's just a side story that helps us get our password. Our last article in this paper is "City is Safe," says police chief. Peter Ferguson, chief of Las Vegas Police Department, has said that his department will step up to protect order in the city if violence between organized crime groups increases. Speaking in an interview with KNAC radio host Barry Prowse yesterday, Ferguson said that they were working in close cooperation with the FBI to stamp out organized crime in the city. When asked by Prowse to respond to reports that the rivalry between the Haterags and the Ponzas was intensifying, Ferguson said the Haterags and the Ponzas have been the two biggest mobs in the city for some time now. They've always been against one another, and I don't think that's ever going to change. Of course, we'll always do our best to keep the population safe and make sure criminals are brought to justice. If the crime levels rise, then our efforts to quell it will rise too. Tensions have been high in the city since the death of Mafia Don Tony Haderag, head of the Haderag crime family, Haderag, 3 weeks ago, as uncertainties remain about the approach his successor will take to running the gang and how much it might affect the former status quo. But Ferguson denied being concerned. Sure, we're familiar with the way Tony used to operate, but we'll learn the new Don's operating style and will adapt. Ferguson went on to deny the allegation that the LVPF was doing nothing to prevent violence between the Ponzas and the Haterags in a bid to let the two sides destroy each other. We're not just going to sit back and let a war of attrition break out. We're going to step up to keep things in order and ensure the public stays safe. We're doing everything we can to ensure the violence levels do not increase. He finished by saying, I want to make it totally clear right here and now, there's absolutely no cause for the public to be concerned. The city is safe and it shall remain safe. If we didn't note before, I think this gives an alibi to the young Haderag guy, because we believe that he is the one on the other end of this phone conversation trying to arrange this planting of this device. So the fact that he's sending messages while it's happening would seem to mean that he's not involved. We're just going to see if we have any evidence from here that he is the one on the other end of this conversation, other than the fact that he's saying, I got you out and protected you. I'm going to be at Armando's tonight. Where are you now? I take it you're not at home. Misdirection allowed me to hide where they'll never look for me. This seems like a little bit of a clue to us. Like, what is he saying? What is he alluding to? What is his misdirection? Is he hiding in the dumpster? Is he hiding next door? I'm just going to put a note. Where's my note of things to work out? Like, what is the misdirection comment? That sounds like you signal you're going to be in one place, but you're really someplace else. What is he? But we know he went to Armando's to get this device. And when did he get it? I've got it. So at 10 p.m. he's got it. And then by 10:20, he's hiding at the place he's supposed to be. All right. Jonathan says, my guess is he's hiding in the casino. Last place they would look inside is inside the casino. I agree with that idea. Let's keep going. Okay, so here's our last piece of evidence, other than the online stuff. This is the article the day after he's killed. Disgraced magician found dead. And here's a picture of him. Late last night, Las Vegas police force discovered the body of former stage magician Charlie Young. He was found in a trash receptacle behind the Magic Mirror Casino. He was 55 and had been shot 4 times in the chest. Police have said an investigation has begun and are urging anyone with any information, including any possible witnesses, to come forward with any information. For a week now, Young has been on the run from police after it was discovered that he had been cheating at poker at the Magic Mirror Casino. Young was born in Missoula, Montana, beginning his career in 1981. By 1983, he had made his first TV appearance when he performed part of his act on The Tonight Show, and soon after was touring nationwide. In 1986, he moved to Las Vegas to become a regular performer at the Magic Mirror Casino, and his magic show quickly became one of the casino's most popular features. While there, he befriended popular singer Bobby LaFay, and in 1988, they started the annual charity fundraiser Read It and Don't Weep to help fight illiteracy. However, both were embroiled in controversy when they were involved in a DUI incident that resulted in the death of Young's magic assistant, Jackie Greer. LaFay, only ruled to be an accessory to the manslaughter, was released 8 years ago and found it hard to rebuild his career. Similarly, when Young was released last year, he too had difficulties finding a manager willing to take him on. It is believed this may explain why he began cheating at card games this year as a way to raise money. Mr. Young was not married and had no next of kin. It's understood that his estate is to be donated to various charities. Okay. We have a car ad. We have an article about concert hall. The Williams Center for the Performing Arts, home to the Las Vegas Pops Orchestra, announced today that it is to be reopened next month with a live orchestra screening popular music from hit films of the 70s. The music venue opened in 1977 and was closed in 2012 for renovations that were meant to last a year at a budget of $4 million. However, the renovations ended up lasting just shy of 2.5 years at a final budget of $9 million. Part of the reason for the higher expense was to expand the capabilities of the venue for a wider range of performances, and the Williams Center management are hoping to make up the money with a wide variety of different shows to cater for all audiences. The center will also be offering patrons to adopt a chair. Patrons who donate enough will be given a chance to have their name engraved on a brass plaque on their chair of choice in the auditorium, assuming it hasn't already been taken. Okay, and then we've got a little photo of it. Doesn't seem relevant to us. We've got a pizza place with a very weird phone number. We've got another ad for Umbrella Real Estate. We've got Frankie Klang with performing. We have no idea why we should care about that at the Hollywood Bowl. We just have one more article here. Pop band to avoid prosecution. Police have said that the boy band Groove Future will not be prosecuted for Tuesday's impromptu performance on top of their tour bus. The band had been driving out of Las Vegas on their way for Friday night's sellout show at the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles, California, when the tour bus broke down on the side of the road. This could catch our person fleeing the scene. Let's see what we got here. The band decided while they waited for the bus to be repaired to do an impromptu performance on top of the bus for all their fans. While traffic was able to keep moving, the sidewalk quickly filled with Groove Futurians, as their fans are known on the internet, making it hard for pedestrians to move about. The noise was also considered too loud and potentially a nuisance to homes and businesses in the surrounding area. As such, the police were quickly called, and they quickly put a stop to the concert. Despite rumors yesterday that since the band had broken public performance laws, they would face prosecution, which could possibly interfere with their Hollywood Bowl show, Las Vegas police said yesterday they decided not to take the matter any further. A spokesman said the police were able to get to the scene quickly and put a stop to it within a few minutes. So we've decided it didn't play long enough to cause any serious and long-lasting disruption. As such, we won't be investigating further. We have issued their manager a warning and hope he conveys it to the members of the band. If they do it again next time they're in Vegas, we may give them a fine. Band member Jake Silver said, the police didn't tell us to stop. We stopped because the bus was fixed and we could keep going. The man wants to stop the music, but they will never stop the music. We're going to rock out even harder on Friday night. Meanwhile, mechanic Marty Mahoney, the man responsible for fixing the bus, says, it wasn't a hard fix to do, but it would have been a lot quicker if there wasn't a whole crowd of teenage girls screaming in my ears. Next time they can fix it themselves. Okay. Boy, somehow I thought there was going to be some information there. Is there something I'm missing about that? So the only thing we haven't done is the internet information. DJ Moneycut says, average murderer serves 16 years. Hard to believe a celebrity would get that long for manslaughter. Did it say where the bus broke down? It seems to me saying the pedestrians couldn't get through the area at that time. It didn't seem to say, but I wonder if the internet email account is going to have some more of these details. And we might reread. Oh, hey, look at this. Something I just noticed. The article we read in the beginning, which we may want to reread, has a back side to it. Of course, this was 20 years ago, but let's just take a quick look. Oh, Mr. Tremolo. Okay, so this is information about the internet email account password, which mentions Tremolo. He's talking about wildlife expert Jane Ash. I don't think they like it here. It's not the right climate for them. They're very particular birds. If it's not exactly right, then they'll fly off somewhere that is. Well, I'm sorry this had to happen to Mr. Tremolo. I think it speaks to his ignorance as to the requirements of the birds and his foolishness in thinking he would just bring them to Las Vegas and they'd be happy as clams. Despite this, Richard Tremolo is still insistent that the birds be returned, promising a large reward for anyone who's able to help in bringing them back to his estate. A spokesperson for Mr. Tremolo paid a lot of money for those falcons, so it's only right that they be returned safe and sound. Mr. Tremolo cares deeply about all the animals in his estate and refutes the allegations that by bringing them to Las Vegas, he was mistreating them. Evidently, there were flaws in the design and construction of the aviary, but he's adamant that there is something, and now we've got a new article. Strange gelatinous being called Grembulad, who is invaluable aid to the heroes as they fight the forces of darkness. Together they get into all kinds of scrapes and japes through the galaxy looking for the all-powerful MacGuffin that will enable them to defeat the baddies. In this film, it takes the form of a magical shoe that grants wishes, but only if you're wearing the right socks. There's a lot of fun to be had in this film as director Melvin Flipp and screenwriter Susie Fryer weave a deft tale that doesn't take itself too seriously and provides fun for young and young at heart alike. Superbly played by the cast, with standout praise for George C. Scott as the voice of Grembulad. Meanwhile, the effects team do a good job at convincingly bringing the made-up worlds and their inhabitants to life. While it certainly pales in comparison to other films of this genre you could rent on VHS, For a family night out to the movies, it does the job fine. Okay. So before we take a break and then do the internet piece of information, it may be that the internet is going to pull together some of these things and tell us where the bus broke down and all that. But let's take a look at our people here. So if we write our suspect list here, we've got Sykes, Pons, Mitchum, Greer, Aderag, Nash, and LaFay. Okay, so let's remind ourselves. Sykes is the owner of the magic mirror, and he is alibied on his plane. Mitchum is the gambling addict woman, and I think we have her on that camera leaving the scene of the crime with a revolver in her purse, but that's the wrong gun. So I think she's alibied. We may have a timeline alibi for her too, now that we know exactly when he was killed. So here she is leaving the scene of the crime at 22:39, right? And we've got him dead at 22:22. So if she was the murderer, it would have been 20 minutes. She's not leaving for 20 minutes? That seems unlikely. And she's got the wrong gun. So I think that leaves Mitchum alibied, if that is Mitchum. Because it could also be Greer. We don't know what Greer looks like. I don't know how convinced the audience was that this picture is of Mitchum. I guess now that I think about it, which I should have thought about earlier, what is our alibi for Mitchum? Does anyone know? For Greer, yes. And Tina's pointing out what just occurred to me now. Greer is signing this book from 10 to 11. So originally I was using this to think, okay, is this our guy Charlie's alibi? But it's not his alibi, but it's Greer's alibi. Because surely she was at her own signing. So she's alibied, which is further evidence that this is not Greer, that this is surely Mitchum. Okay, and we think Mitchum is alibied because of gun and sort of the timeline. It wouldn't have taken her 20 minutes. Now Jonathan is talking about transporting the body. How long? That's a good question. Let's talk about that in a second. But let's go through the rest of these, because Haderag is a good candidate for us, but I believe he's also alibied by being on the SMS messages at the time of the murder. Now, I think we've got a problem with thinking it's the Pons twins now, because, well, let's see. I was going to say, what I was going to say is that he was shot somewhere in here, right? 10:22. So the shot happened somewhere in here. Wait, 10:20. 2222, I think we said. But it does occur to me that we actually have some interesting information more now. 2222. Okay, so somewhere here is where he's killed, right? Now, the question is, if they're still talking until 2240, I think this is them driving the body and then coming home. So I think this actually is evidence that it was the Pons twins. Because I believe what we're told is, from the beginning, that the person discovers the body sometime between 10:30 and 11. And I think what we're looking at here is time taken. They've killed him here. They're a bit panicked about it. Maybe it's right here where they've killed him, right at this empty spot here. Then they're panicked. It takes them 20 minutes to make up a plan. And then I think here they're driving their body, leaving it at the casino and coming back. This would give them what, about, let's see, 2243 to 23. So that gives them 20 minutes. So it would be a 10-minute drive and back. So if this is right, if I've got this right, it would have to be approximately a 10-minute drive between 7041 and Magic Mirror, right? They drive 10 minutes to 2250, which is about when the body gets found, and then 10 minutes to come back. Actually, they get a little bit more, so maybe 12 minutes. So if this is their location here, and this is the Magic Mirror, that absolutely seems doable. 1 mile is a minute. Sorry. Here's our 1 mile mark here. So let's take a look. You could drive here in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 miles. That's, I guess you wouldn't be driving a mile a minute, but you could be driving 30 miles an hour or so. That would give you enough time to do it. 12 minutes. I think you could do it going 35 or so. DJ Moneycut says, shouldn't Haderag have heard the Pons talking over the device and heard his death? Haderag guy notes the audio is abruptly cut off, probably when the bullet passed through the device. Exactly right. So the moment the gun is fired, the device gets damaged, so we can't hear anything. Plus, it's got a silencer. Okay, so I think that the Pons are my top suspects. And also, if the Pons are mad at the casino guy, it might make sense that they would dump him in the dumpster there to embarrass him, to get revenge, to show him don't mess with us. Or maybe even you could reverse it and say they dropped it off as a present. Now, Nash and LaFay, though, before we come down to the Ponses, LaFay is the partner. We haven't heard anything about him. So we don't know anything about this person. This is his person that was in the car with him that blames him a little bit. But I am assuming we're going to get some in the email, or we've overlooked an alibi. And which one is Nash? Can someone remind me who Nash is? Nash was the karaoke, that's right. He was the casino dealer, and he's alibied with this karaoke. Okay, so that just leaves the Pons twins and the old partner with Faye, who I believe we have no information about? All right, so I feel fairly certain that it's the Pons twins, but why don't we take a break here? We'll come back, we'll go get access to the internet email account of the detective who's out sick. We'll see if that dots our I's and crosses our T's, and then we're ready to solve this case. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Okay, we're back. The chat is talking a little bit about theories. DJ Moneycut is working on the theory that he lied about being at the location and he really was behind the casino all along. I brought that up initially as a possibility. I do think there's one major meta reason why that's problematic. So I think we came up with a pretty convincing explanation for how he's hiding out. He's shot here. Maybe he's shot right in this little gap here. And then 20 minutes later, these twins leave. It gives them just enough time to dump the body and come back. And then the body was found in this period between 10:30 and 11. So here's the problem with we've eliminated everyone but these two, the Pons twins and LaFay. And I assume we're going to end up eliminating LaFay when we get access to the email. But the problem with the theory that he wasn't ever at their apartment and was killed on site here is that we'd have to have a reason to alibi these two. We need to, in this next step, alibi one of these two. Otherwise, we can't eliminate them. So I believe that we are going to eliminate LaFay in the email. But if we can eliminate Pons, then we're back to our backup theory that he was actually at Magic Mirror Casino all along. But I think there's some good reasons to suspect that he must have been there. The comment about misdirection seems tempting, but as Jonathan pointed out, he's claiming in the text messages, I'm there. I'm just trying to find a place to give me a chance. It's in my pocket. I'm waiting for the right moment. He can hear them, but it's not clear. So, our detective wouldn't have known that he couldn't be heard. It just seems very risky for him to be pretending to be there. On the other hand, we know he's picked it up at Armando's. So we could see, could he have gotten, we don't know where Armando's is. I don't think it was in any of our newspapers. But actually, if it was, that would give us an address. The other reason to think he's not going to lie about that is that what does it get him? What does it get him that to lie about it? He wants to get out from under the thumb of this guy. Planting this little device seems like a very easy way to pay off this debt. I do find it a little odd that we haven't seen this, but I wonder if we're going to get some of this on the internet. So it's time for us to do that. So let us organize our information. We do have some answers on some of these things. Let's go back to our introduction and try to reconstruct it. Okay, so we need our initial sheet. DJ Moneycut says, if he was killed anywhere else, the voice print is their alibi. I don't know. Is the voice prints really the alibi? No, but this is some clues. Jonathan says, check Jesse, what's your guess about if the magician was ordered to tank the poker game out of curiosity? That's a good question. Jonathan has a theory that he was asked to tank the game to get revenge on the Ponzes. I think that's a clever idea, but I'm not sure if I'd put the odds of that above 50%. I would think that I'll tell you what would argue against that. Your theory, Jonathan, is that the haterag called in a favor for him to interfere with the game. Whereas I think it's probably coincidence. Here's the evidence that it was coincidence. Here's haterag calling him on the night of the murder. Time for me to call in the favor you owe me. This seems like it might be an opportune time because I see you got in trouble with the law last week. I could help with that, you know. So your theory would be that this same guy made him go in that game to mess with the two. But the way he's talking does not make that appear to be true. The way he's talking is that, I see you messed up your life again. So I think this argues against your theory, Jonathan. Okay, let us look at how to access his email. DJ Moneycut is still on the theory that the voice print is their alibi. I really don't think so. He was killed with a silencer. They're talking. The two of them are always talking together. Imagine they hear someone in the house, so they're talking while they're hunting for this guy, and they're constantly talking with each other as they shoot him. Okay, let's see. We've got his username. And then we also need favorite animal. This is Hadley. Robert Hadley. His favorite animal, which is Tremolo's used to keep. I believe we heard that was a falcon. We can double check. My favorite food. Okay. Favorite food. I forget where we read that, but that may have been at the restaurant. A bad batch is what got me sick, and the record time I tried to break. Okay, so the record time was in here. Robert Hadley attempted to break it, but at 54 seconds, he was 19 seconds away. So holding a notice trombone, Oh, juggling skills. Okay, right. So we're ignoring this one, but I tried to do a different record, juggling, 54 plus 19, 60, 73 seconds. So time, 73 seconds was what he was going for. Okay, and then was the food, let's see, he was found. Where did we hear about the food? We read it somewhere. I was making a note in most places. Food poisoning after eating at a restaurant called Reggie's. There we go. Okay, so it was related to this newspaper. So it is going to be Reggie's Pizza Place. So that's pizza. Let me see if the audience already figured that out. John says 45 seconds is the record. Never mind. I thought he was trying to do something faster, not longer. Okay. So it's 73 because he was trying to go longer. I believe that's right. And then Reggie's is clearly his favorite food is pizza, not garlic bread, right? Okay, and then the confirmation about the Falcons was on the back of this paper. Tremolo, the birds, and he says Falcons, Falcon, and it says singular. So I think we've got password is Falcon, pizza, and 73. So Falcon, pizza, 73, I think. All right, let's try to bring this up now. All right, so we're told that the login is HTTPS. fwebmail.com. Okay. His email is Robert Hadley at obpfwebmail.com. That's his login. All lowercase. Falcon Pizza 73. Let's see if that's right or if we have to tweak anything. Yeah, okay, that's right. All right, what have we got? We've got some extra CCTVs. I'm not surprised that that's going to help us explain something. Silver State Insurance, that's going to be that woman was wearing the badge from Silver State. All right, well, let's go through them from oldest to newest, I guess. Michael Lutzman. This is before the murder, but after the guy got caught cheating. Detective Robert Hadley. I've been investigating the suspected hitman known only as V, known only as Y, for several months now, trying to build up a cohesive picture of the man that could lead to an arrest and hopefully a conviction. It's believed that Y is behind the recent garrote hits across Nevada, which is his trademark. Last night, I trailed Y to a dive bar in downtown Las Vegas, where he met with a man later to turn out to be a potential client who hired a hit for $50,000. Couldn't catch the date they set, but it sounded to me like something first, though I could have simply been the first. It could have been the first. It was sort of bar where they play rock music aggressively and obnoxiously loud. I managed to get a photo of the two men together with my covert pin camera, and I'm running the face of the client through the department's database. If we can find a match, we can bring him in for questioning. While capturing pictures of the two, I managed to get a picture of the photo handed to Y, displaying the intended target. Thought I'd run that face through the database too. A result has quickly emerged due to it being the face of a man currently on the lam called Charlie Young. Well, that changes things. We got a new suspect, a hitman called Y. I mean, the murder has all the markings of a professional hit. A dive bar in downtown Las Vegas. A client spent $50,000. Couldn't catch the date, they said, but it sounded to me like something first. So it could have been the first. So it could have been the date to kill him is on the 31st. Oh. He's got a photo of the two men. So if the two men are the hitman and the client, if that photo turns out to be of Faye, the old person who went to jail with him, then that could explain it. And Tina points out, Buddy wasn't garroted. And this says that the Y is behind the recent garrote hits across Nevada, which is his trademark. So do we think we would get rid of person Hitman Y because of his modus operandi? That's an interesting point. That's a very good point. And Tina almost missed that. Okay, let's look at if we can identify Mitchum and her Silver State Insurance. Following up our telephone conversation, I've attached a clip of the meeting that we had on March 31st. I also found the attached compliment slip in the bin in meeting room 3. The chances are that it's nothing, but the last time the meeting room was booked out, it was for this call. Okay, so Silver State Insurance is absolutely the badge that our person in the back alley is wearing on the night of the murder with her revolver. So the question is now, we've got a video and a thing. Meeting room 3, huh? A clip of the meeting we had on March 31st. I mean, we can see when she was out in the back alley, though. So maybe we're going to hear why she was out in the back alley. So we've got the compliment slip. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, that's interesting. This person who owes $42,000 is planning on getting a $50,000 payment. That's what she's adding up here. What does my $42,000 debt? This is definitely Mitchum, the wife that owes $42,000, and here she's planning on what to do with $50,000 extra cash. And $50,000 was what the hitman was going to get paid. But let's see if when we listen to this clip, whether this is going to give us a different way she was expecting to make $50,000. Maybe it's just a coincidence that the hitman was working for. Also, the hitman said two men. So she was not the man that was a hitman. So where does she think she's getting $50,000 from? Unless it's the husband. All right, let's listen to this clip. Compliment slip in meeting room 3. Chances are it's nothing, but it was for this call on March 31st. Okay, let's listen.
All right. Next item on the agenda, the Magic Mirror Casino, one of our most high-profile clients. Rankin, I do believe you're in charge of this policy.
That's right. An individual fraudulently won $100,000 pot at poker. The other players at the table suspected foul play and have threatened legal action against the Magic Mirror.
Papers said it was the old magician guy.
Yes, I think Magic Mirror wanted to keep it hush-hush and a bit to save face. But once the press found out Young was involved, well, the press couldn't pass up a celebrity scandal.
You're sure it's a genuine claim then?
I've reviewed the security footage and interviewed Magic Mirror management, and I don't have reason to suspect foul play. In fact, Sully Sykes is pretty steamed about it. I heard he put a bounty on the guy's head.
What for? Doesn't he know the police are looking for him?
He just wants to be extra sure this guy doesn't get away with it. Make it even harder for Young to evade justice. He's personally offering $50,000 for the capture of Charlie Young.
$50,000?
I know. Small potatoes for a guy like Sykes. Still, not to be sneezed at.
Do you think Sykes is making a genuine offer?
Certainly seems to be genuine. It's possible someone might take it up. Of course, the money only gets paid out if Young is brought in alive.
Why's that?
Sykes probably wants the satisfaction of killing the man himself.
All right. Can we get back to business?
My son works at the Magic Mirror. Said he thought he saw Young eating out of the trash in the alley behind the casino. Maybe I should tell him to make a citizen's arrest and get the dough.
Did you say the Magic Mirror?
Yeah, but he's probably...
Enough! So, Rankin, are we settling the claim?
Okay. So that explains it. This woman owes $50,000, works for this insurance company, and now she's heard that there's a $50,000 reward if the guy is caught alive. And this other guy on the call has told her that a friend told him that he hangs out and eats by the dumpster. So she has gone to try to find him by the dumpster. And she didn't find him. That's probably why she's not happy. She was going to try to bring him in alive with her gun, but she didn't find him. This is more evidence, though, that he wasn't in the dumpster at this time. He's not there yet, right? She's coming back from here at 22:39. We know he was killed at 22:20. So he was definitely killed off site and brought here because she's there at 22:40 after this guy gets killed and she doesn't find him. I assume she doesn't find him. She was trying to get the reward. So she's not the hired hitman. She was just trying to get the $50,000 reward. And I guess now we believe that that $50,000 was Sykes hiring a hitman, the garrote person, to kill our guy. But not to kill him, to bring him in alive. And that's not what happened. So I think what we know is now we know the identity of the client who hired the hitman. It was Sykes, the casino owner. But he didn't hire the hitman to kill him. He hired the hitman to capture him and bring him in. And this woman is not the hitman, not related to the hitman, but she has learned about the $50,000 reward and thinks she can go get it. And so she's rushed down there to the dumpster where our guy hangs out and hides. It's still a little bit of a coincidence that they brought his body back there. But he wants him alive clearly. So the hitman he hired is not going to kill him, and the hitman that gets hired is the garroter. Although we're to believe here that he wasn't hired to kill him. All right, let's go back and read more. I think what we still need is an alibi for the ex-partner, Faye. Let's see if we're going to get that. This is going to be at Bobby Faye, but first let's look at this. Stakeout transcript. Following is the transcript for the stakeout. On Tuesday, we were investigating notorious crime boss who we believed was negotiating a drug trade at a fancy restaurant. I was stationed at headquarters while Sam Wells, Blue One, was coordinating the stakeout from the back of the operations van. Hope it helps for your investigation. So this is on April 2nd. Blue One, this is headquarters. Let's see if I can get a better view of this. This is headquarters. It's been about an hour since the last report at 9:45 p.m. Please update. Over. Target is still at Armando's Steakhouse. Over. Still, how long does it take to eat a steak? This is hater egg they're talking about at Armando's. I guess with his new client, he enjoys chewing the fat. Over. For the prices you pay at Armando's, you'd hope you don't get any fat. Over. Can confirm the only fat our crime boss friend is chewing is metaphorical. Had a 12-ounce ribeye medium rare. Client, however, had his rare and bloody as legally allowed. Over. Any other news? Over. Word from inside is the deal hasn't been made yet. Blue 4 is keeping an eye on proceedings like a hawk. The only time the target left the table since they sat down was to go to the bathroom at 9:47 p.m. That's when he planted the package. Did the target use a urinal or a stall? Over. Stall. Don't worry. Blue 2 searched it, but he didn't find anything. Over. If the target's dragging his feet making the deal, do you think he's on to us? Over. Continued on page 2, which we got to go back for. Whoops. Okay. You can see this, right? Okay. Here's our page 2. Don't know for sure. It's possible, or it could be he's just enjoying his meal and that he wanted to treat this guy to a fancy steak dinner and nothing more. Over. Which do you think it is the case? Over. Couldn't say at the present time. Over. Are the men in danger from the target? Over. Unlikely. I doubt he'd confront them in Armando's. Too public. Word is the two men have just been sampling the finest scotch Armando's has to offer. Over. Lucky devil. Anything else to report? Over. Well, there was one thing. Blue 5 was in the restroom when he heard someone asking the attendant guy for strawberry chewing gum. He only caught the back of him, but it was a middle-aged guy with a bald patch. He thought it sounded peculiar and that it might be code, so he also asked for strawberry chewing gum. Well, the guy gave him strawberry chewing gum. Blue 5 didn't realize such a thing existed. Neither did I, for that matter. Over. Me either. Well, we'll have to make a note of it anyway. Anything else? Over? No, that's it. Over. Over and out. Okay, so they're talking about how the haterag crime boss gave the bathroom attendant the information to pass along to Charlie, our magician, who snuck in, went to the restroom, got the information by asking for strawberry gum. So just confirmation of stuff we already had figured out. Nothing new for us there. Okay, here we go. This is going to clear our guy. Robert, here's the information you requested on Charlie's friend, Bobby LaFay. It looks like he's come off of social media as there's no recent activity on his account. But we did find one post claiming to have seen him. Check out the attachment. Cybercrime Division. Amy Hadley. Robert Hadley's wife. Well, I arrived earlier today and snapped this pic of my crib for the next week or two. Also, literally just bumped into Bobby LaFay, who's in the room next to mine. Okay, so they are off on some vacation. Oh, looking forward to my stay at the Mountain View Hotel, she says, the day before. So the night of our murder, Bobby LaFay is at the Mountain View Hotel at 9:41. Well, that's not an alibi. That is not an alibi because look, the Mountain View Hotel is right here. Five miles away. 5 miles away from here and, 6 miles away from here. So that's kind of strange. She's bumping into him at 9:41 and he's killed at 10:20. That's not an alibi. The broken down bus is going to give him an alibi. And Tina says, could we check the newspaper, please? What do you want to look for in the newspaper? Jonathan's right. I think maybe we're going to find out that he couldn't have driven from the Mountain View Hotel because of the bus, perhaps. All right, and Tina, I will happily check the newspaper once you tell me what you want to look. There's an ad about the hotel, I think. Is there? Yes, there was. Okay. You're right. We pointed that out when we saw it. I had just forgotten. Come stay at our newly refurbished hotel, chain of hotels, opening next week. Good catch. Look at that. Good catch. Okay. So what has Antina caught? Antina has caught that this map says where the Mountain View Hotel is. And I was saying, well, if he's at the Mountain View Hotel, then he doesn't have an alibi because it's nearby. I did feel like that picture was a little odd for Las Vegas. But what Antina is saying is that they weren't in the Las Vegas chain. They aren't here. They're in a whole different state. They're in Colorado. Here are the two pictures. And when you line them up with the website, it's clear that the Mountain View Hotel that Bobby LaFay is at is the Denver chain. Oh, well done. That is nice and subtle. That's pretty cleverly done, actually. Did you remember, Antina, that that was a chain with two places, or did you just recall that there was something about the hotel? Okay, so we have alibied Bobby Fay. Bobby LaFay has a very sound alibi. So now we know it's them, unless we get an alibi for them, in which case, maybe the hitman. All right, that was pretty cool. And Tina says, I didn't remember the details, but I knew there was something about the hotel. All right, very good catch. Very good catch. All right, so is this going to let me go back? Yes, okay. All right, so 3 more pieces of evidence. CSI report, let's see. Attaches the result of the crime scene investigation. Okay. They did some more investigation. We searched the area around the dumpster for the usual evidence, DNA and fingerprints and the like, but couldn't find anything, not even any traces of the victim's blood outside on the ground. And there was nothing of note on the body or on his clothes. We examined and cataloged all the items found in the dumpster beneath the body of Mr. Young. Of note in particular were the trash bags immediately beneath Mr. Young, which would have been the last things thrown into the dumpster before the murderer disposed of his body. A member of the casino's kitchen staff, Jack Shaw, had previously taken some trash bags to the same dumpster at 10:45 p.m. and hadn't seen a body. When asked what had been In those trash bags, the items listed by Mr. Shaw matched the items found in the bags beneath the corpse. Interviews with the rest of the kitchen staff revealed to us that nobody had gone in between Mr. Shaw and Mr. Zipes some minutes later. As the dumpster is not in a convenient thoroughfare, we doubt a member of the public would have used it. As such, we are reasonably certain Mr. Shaw was the last person to use the dumpster before the murderer disposed the body in it. So this tells us two things. This, first of all, gives us a tighter timeline to when the body was dumped. Somewhere between 10:45 and 11 when the body was discovered. It also is hinting to us that he was killed elsewhere. Like, they searched the scene, they can't find anything. There's no blood at the scene. There's no DNA. It's just the body on top of the trash bags at 10:45, which completely perfectly matches our theory of this. That he's shot. They're arguing about what to do. You can see maybe this gets a little louder. Then they start driving, halfway point at 22:52 or so. They get there, they dump the body, and then they drive back home. So the body was dumped at 10:52, and then a couple minutes later, the guy walks out and discovers it. So 10:45, while they're still at home, getting ready to leave, the guy dumps the trash in. Takes them 6 minutes to get there. They dump the body and they come home. They're familiar with this because they don't work quite at the hotel, but they work for the hotel manager guy, so they know the place well. They know where they can dump it. Maybe they're doing it on purpose to embarrass him, or maybe to claim the reward somehow. Okay, so that's it. That gives us tighter timeline and gives us that he wasn't shot there. Casino exterior. Let's see what this gives us. Hi, Robert. Thanks for sending over the pictures taken from the casino exterior CCTV. I can confirm that the handle of the gun the woman is carrying is that of a revolver. Okay, just to point out, this is exactly what we said when we started. Do not connect to the internet part of Cryptic Killers until you are done with the case, because it gives you hints that you otherwise could have solved on your own. And we did. We already identified on our own that it was a revolver, not a semi-automatic. So this is just confirmation that we were completely right on track with that. Okay, here's our last piece of evidence. Afternoon, Robert. Something doesn't seem right here. DDI don't usually let people off without a solid reason. Maybe they've made a mistake. There's no alibi here if you ask me, unless there's more than one branch. P.S. You're a workaholic. Put the laptop down and get some rest. We've assigned the case to your highly competent colleagues for now. So on the 3rd of April, Chief, we've reviewed this attachment from DDI. I think you and I both know who it's referring to. What I can't work out is why on earth DDI would just take their word at face value. They appear to have been staying in close proximity to the scene. What if they were just lying about the dates? What's your take on this? Robert. From Lutzman. Per your request, I'm sending you the next part of my report. I'm afraid we had to redact some of it for security reasons. Apologies. And here's the report. From Michael Lutzman. Following on from my report dated March 29th, we have been able to identify the person hiring the hitman Y in the photo as blank. Was seen checking into the Mountain View Hotel on Tuesday around 9:30 p.m. In cooperation with the local branch, we were able to apprehend so-and-so on Wednesday. CCTV footage from the hotel lobby shows blank handing over a suitcase to hitman Y moments after checking in. We agreed that in return for answering our questions and agreeing to testify against him, they would be granted an amnesty from conspiracy to murder charges. As the witness is a public figure, their testimony will need to be given confidentiality to aid with any witness relocation if it comes to that. It turns out Mike was very willing to answer our questions, although Mike had hired Y for $50,000. Y was unable to carry it out as the intended victim ended up being shot and killed before Y could get to them, as evident by the fact that the target had been killed the day before the date the two had planned for killing April 1st. When Mike tried to contact Y to get their money back, their attempts to reach Y failed. Mike presumed this was because Y didn't want to give the money back. I suppose if contract killing wasn't illegal, he could have taken him to small claims court. Mike has provided us with methods used to contact Y. I have passed this information on to the witness relocation program so they can assure that Mike is kept safe. Okay, so this is the believable story about how Sykes hired the hitman, and the hitman didn't get a chance to kill him because he was killed by someone else, which is consistent with our theory. The only thing that's a little odd here is the discussion that the cops are having here on this email chain. I think you and I both know who it's referring to, which is Sykes. What I can't work out is why on earth they would take their word at face value. They appear to have been staying in close proximity of the scene. What if they were just lying about the dates? They're just saying, what if they were lying? The two branches. This feels like it's a little bit of a clue. Like in this case, they are at the close by branch, I think. Unless, hold on a second. Where is our air flight log? Because maybe Bobby LeFay is the hitman. Let me just see where he's going in his plane. No, he's going to New York. Okay, so I think this is the local branch. So the fact that there are two branches doesn't alibi anyone here, but the game is giving you an extra little hint to be aware that there are two branches in case you missed that. Another way in which the website email is giving away more hints than you need. Well, I think we're ready to solve it, are we not? We've read everything. That's the totality of it. Even if you have had doubts about the pawns, they're the only ones without an alibi. The closest their alibi is here, but this we know is not an alibi. Silenced gun, they're the crime people. They could have a silenced gun. And this is their period where they're driving and dumping the body. Looks like the chat disagrees with me about something. Let's see. I think it says Antina's saying that Bobby hired him. I think this is saying Bobby hired the hitman, but not sure how he has that much money. Bobby hired him, not Sykes. Okay, that's I guess that makes sense if they were in that other. Well, how can you be sure? I agree, Bobby was in the hotel in the other chain, but why would they meet in the Denver hotel? I guess maybe that's where the hitman is. I suppose. Well, either way, it doesn't really matter, right? Because we believe them. We know that Bobby couldn't have done it because he was in the other branch. Yeah, I guess it could. I guess maybe it was Bobby. Is there any? It doesn't make a difference, but are you basing thinking it's Bobby just based on the fact that he's in one of those hotels And that's what they're talking about, the hotel? Just curious if you're how you I don't disagree that it's Bobby, but Tuesday around 9:30. I guess that matches up with the time that the blog post said he was in the hotel. And it does say in cooperation with the local branch, which suggests they might be talking about the other branch. Okay. So maybe Bobby LaFay was hiring. And Sarah says, is it a coincidence with Amy Hadley and Robert Hadley? Yeah, that was a weird coincidence, but I think it was just a coincidence. It was strange that we had these articles about the bus tour and stuff, that was not all, none of that was relevant for us. Sure. And this didn't seem to be relevant for us. All right. I believe we are ready to solve this, though. Does anyone have any disagreement? Are we overlooking something? I'm a little nervous about it. I feel good about the pawns being the. What about the what about the surveillance team that was listening in? So we believe it's these two. Let me just look at these quickly again before we jump to it. So they've set up surveillance across the way where we think this guy was killed, but it's just a skeleton crew. They can just listen. They can just identify whether in the apartment, but that's all. They can tell it's the two of them talking, but they can't determine what they're saying. Okay. We know they got angry, wanted revenge. We know that they're mad at our guy. They think he's part of it. So if he showed up at their place, they might think he was sent to do harm. And here they are. They always hang out together. Never seen apart. I think that's it. Okay, I think we're ready to solve it. Let's see what the chat says. Sykes on the plane ride and the Denver deal don't line up, so I don't think he could have hired the hitman. Okay. All right. I think that's it. We really don't. If we've missed something, we would have had to miss two things. We would have had to miss that the pawns have an alibi, and we would have had to miss that someone else didn't have the alibi that we think they had. All right, I think we're ready to solve this. Where is our... I don't see it on that page. Is it just because it's on the side of this? Anyone think we need to talk about something else before we're ready to solve this? I'll open up the web page while you're thinking and talking. Okay. Casino killer. Game answers. That's not right. Okay. Who killed Charlie Young? You must only complete the form when you've eliminated all innocent suspects. It's very important we don't point fingers too early. We must have an alibi for every suspect other than the guilty. Remember to check the hint page if you're stuck. When you're ready to charge the killer, select their name and click submit. All right. Jonathan says, I feel good about the pawns. All right. Does anyone else? Let's just take a look at these other people. So Frankie, that's the guy we think has hired him. Bobby is the guy who is off-site on a different state, but hired the hitman. We've got the alibied casino guy. We've got the dead mob boss at the Haterags. He's been dead for weeks. We've got Tony, the son. He's on SMS while the guy's killed. We got Norma Mitchum, the insurance woman. She tried to bring him in alive, but she couldn't find him. The hitman, why? We believe him. He was trying to bring him in alive anyway. Both of them want him brought in alive, the Sykes and Bobby LaFay. And Sullivan Sykes was in an airplane. Okay. Anyone else want to disagree? I'm just going to click submit right here. Here we go. Las Vegas Herald-Times, notorious crime boss pair arrested. A task force of LVPF officers and DDI agents led a raid into the base of crime boss pair Nikki and Todd Pons yesterday evening. The duo had been under police and DDI surveillance for a while, but it was only last week that law enforcement agencies were confident they had found a crime they had enough evidence to pin on the duo: the murder of former stage magician Charlie Young. After the LVPF received a court order to infiltrate the building, the task force entered and apprehended the Ponses, as well as two other lower members of the gang. Police investigating the scene have said that they have already found traces of Young's blood in the flooring of the Pons office. It is believed Mr. Young snuck into the headquarters of the Pons duo under orders from rival mafioso Frankie Haderog, who had provided protection for Mr. Young while he was in prison from 1994 to 2014, to plant a listening device. When Mr. Young was apprehended, he was shot by the duo. The Ponses then disposed of his body in a dumpster behind the Magic Mirror Casino. It is suspected this may have been a statement to intimidate casino owner Sullivan Sykes into settling a feud between them, but that hasn't been confirmed. Chief of the LVPF, Peter Ferguson, said in a statement today, "I am very proud of all those who helped bring the Ponses to justice. They have been a pox on this city for far too long, and I'm glad to say we're one step closer to ridding the city of an organized crime completely." To the haterogs, I say, your days are numbered. The siblings, both 25, refused to comment as they were taken into custody. It is believed that the trial will start next month, where they will also have to face charges of arson in regard to the fire at the Harwood and Company bottling plant. It is not known if law enforcement agencies will bring any further charges against them. Meanwhile, Mr. Sykes, who was found to have been involved with some of the Pons' affairs, is said to have fled the country. In the meantime, Magic Mirror Management has said that it remains open for business. And we've got a case summary about all these people. And there's our normal photo of Ben Colson, the writer. Okay, is there anything we wanted to check out? Let's see if there's any information more about the Hitman. Why? Something first. He was known for garrote. That offered a partial alibi because he was shot. But maybe he tried something different. But the DDI report, it was Bobby LaFay who hired him. You guys were right. Scheduled to take place on the 1st, someone had beat him to it, killing Charlie the day before. Hitman Y was seen meeting with Bobby on the night of the murder. We know that Bobby was staying in the Mountain View Hotel at the time, but it transpired he was staying at the other branch in Denver. As such, Y is unable to get over to the casino in time to commit the murder that night. Okay, well, that was our confirmation that he was in the Denver chain. Tells you how to find the two chains if you didn't realize it. Can we get some backstory on Norma? Did she get out of her debt? She was going to try to pay off her debt. It says she was carrying the wrong type of gun. At the time Norma was seen walking away, the body had not yet been thrown into the dumpster, otherwise the trash bags and so on. We said all of that. All right, well, we solved it. And Tina is saying that they didn't both want him alive. I guess the original hitman, the hitman was hired to kill him, not keep him alive. But probably he would have been garroted. Okay, so let us take a 5-minute break and come back and give some final thoughts. I don't think it'll take us too long, but if you've stayed with me so far, maybe you'll hang around for another couple minutes to give our final thoughts. I'll see you in 5 minutes. Okay, we're back for some final thoughts about murder at the Magic Mirror Casino. Maybe the 9th Cryptic Killers game we've played. This one rated at 3.5 difficulty. I'm curious what people think of where you would rank this. Let me give you my final thoughts here. It was a solid case. It was a very smooth experience. I think this helps to confirm Cryptic Killers as one of the sort of more polished, more proven track record series that you're almost guaranteed to get a pretty good, solid case out of it. I do think it was too easy for this group. And we fairly quickly eliminated people. And in fact, you could go a little bit further than that, in that for us to have been wrong, we would have had to been wrong on too many different points. We would have had to be wrong on who we cleared and wrong about our suspects having an alibi that we didn't notice. And because of that, I think we could be fairly certain early on that it was these people that we did nail. Now, I do think there were a couple of cool moments. One was that moment at the end with the 2 hotel chains. That was very well done, very clever, very elegant, and enjoyable to discover, and took someone else in the channel remembering to check it out, and then it clicked into place. That was really quite cleverly done. And the other part was the spectrograph of them talking and where there was silence and lining that up to where they would have driven the body. And that little detail about him being killed elsewhere and dumped, it was enough of a strange detail of the crime scene that it made it fun to work on. And that's the kind of thing you see in these good mysteries where you get this, something doesn't quite make sense and it's hard to figure out an explanation, but once you do, it sort of slots into place. And for us, those things did slot into place at the end. No blood at the crime scene, the gap in the recording, which was enough time to get them there. The map told us that. So I do think it was well done. And I think Jonathan hit the nail on the head when he said that for a more beginner group, this could be a really solid case. And I think that's right. And I think additional credit has to be given to the game designers. We've now played through all the cases, and the difficulty levels seem to be fairly well matched with our experiences. Like the games that are rated on the easier side are on the easier side, and the games that are marked as 4.5s are harder. I do think that where the Cryptic Killers series really shines is with those higher difficulty games. I think there's a larger collection of easier level games to choose from, and it's harder to get the difficult ones right. So definitely not my favorite case, but a very solid, clean case that did get solved. I do think Jonathan, though, points out one other thing that's a knock against this case. We've now played a couple of Cryptic Killers where not only has the core mystery been very good and very solid, but where there's a real aha moment on a piece of evidence that's hard to figure out. This one, the closest we came was the Mountain View hotel chain and the audio recording, but those felt like a little bit easier to figure out. But the other thing that differentiates our favorite Cryptic Killers from this one is what Jonathan said, which is that the characters in this were really not very interesting. We didn't care about them. Like this guy who got killed, He was responsible for the DUI death of someone. We really had a couple of words from him. So I really don't think we cared that much. All of the possible criminals were like mob bosses and a little cartoonish there. So I don't think we really cared about any of the characters involved in this case. And if you compare that to our favorite cases of Cryptic Killers, it's not just that they were harder, it's that our favorite ones were much more engaging story-wise. Whether it was Murder at Merivale Manor, which is our #1 top favorite, had like everything going for it, but also had a story we really cared about. This one was actually very thin on background story for our characters. And this one I think is from 2022, so I think maybe as the years went on, they started to get more refined about their storytelling. We did also see confirmation of our theory that the online login is a bit silly, but also that it gives you some real hints. So if a real piece of solid advice for people who play Cryptic Killers is do not log into that website early on. Save that for last. All right. I think that does it. We're down to 6 viewers at the end of this. Okay. Well, if you did enjoy this, if you've played the game on your own and then are watching this later, I'd love to hear if you have a different take on it than we did. If you just play along with us instead of purchasing it, you can make that up to the company by going and leaving their product a review somewhere on Amazon or Board Game Geek. And thank you to everyone who's joined me. I'll see you guys next time.